Yeah. I know why you guys are clapping. It's not even because I'm here. It's because of our special guest. I know that. But listen, we have an outstanding show for you guys. And usually I come with a certain amount of energy. I bring this energy to the show. But what you guys are going to experience tonight is something unbelievable. We've got an amazing panel put together for you guys. We've got industry breaking news. We've got games to talk about. We have a few people on the panel that did reviews of games this week. And some of them, actually, believe it or not, have a little bit of a discrepancy with some of each other's reviews. And we're going to get into that. But I do want to say this much first. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please tweet this out. Let everybody know that we are live. It is Friday. There's new games out. We are fighting against new games. That's the competition, and that's good competition. But let me say this much. I want to thank every single Mooch Maniac family member for being here. I want to thank them individually. Let me start off with the great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Ben Link, Failed Pyromancer, Frostbite Slash, Zombilla Ice Cream, CustodsX, Hustle and Motivate. Also on the panel, AceJunky, Two-Tone SB, Replicant, Damion, JWE316, Mumble Ranting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, Mr. Twister, All Round Gamer, True Witty, Death Scry, Night Ripper 7, our newest Mooch Maniac, by the way, Smoke 901, leading off our major Mooch Maniacs, Brian Carter, Tactical Gamer, Dat Guy Smitty, HumaCast, Ice Cream Gaming, The Wise Old Gamer, 4-Star General, Sean Slomka, Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, the great Marty Bison, Windingo Rex, Fork Boy Gaming, MexJ88, Remarkable Nice, Rich Kryger, Rated D Demonic, the great Percolator 9000, our honorable mentions, Rate the Emperor, Darkside 80, Director Productions, the great Wilmy Hood, and the forever Mooch Maniac, Longshot 316. I want to say a great shout out as well to the great Percolator 9000 in the super chat. He says, just going to leave this right here. See who takes the money. Have a great show. Who's yelling? That's this guy. Guys, honestly, outstanding show tonight. Let's get into the panel because I have so many topics and I only have so much time to go over them. Let me start with the one, the only. He lives in Connecticut, but he works all week in Redmond, Washington. The Xbox defense lawyer himself, Xbot448. Xbot, how you doing tonight, buddy?
What's going on, people? What is up, Mooch? It is a pleasure, as always, to be here on Crossfire this Friday, beginning the weekend. And Mooch, I got a question for you,
sure,
man.
Please.
What frames per second is this show on YouTube?
We are at, I like to say 144 frames, but I'm completely lying to you.
You gotta possibly have a talk with Phil Spencer because if people are watching it on their Xbox, they might get that FPS boost and he might double it, baby. That's
great.
Yo, let's go.
What an advertisement. That's, listen, guys, he's paid to do that. He is paid to do that. That's okay. It's not shilling. He's paid. He's paid. Xbot, it's great to have you here, buddy. Outstanding. Then I got my buddy here, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. Brap. Welcome back to the show, buddy. How are you this evening?
I'm doing wonderful. It's Friday.
Yes,
I'm excited. It's gonna be a high energy podcast for sure.
It really is, buddy. I hope you're ready too. And I got a special guest here. This is a buddy of mine. It's funny because we talk all through the week. Man's doing an amazing amount of work on his channel, and he does his rounds on all the podcasts. I want to say shout out to the great. He's also a Mooch Maniac family member. Hustle and Motivate. Hustle. It is outstanding as always to have you here, man. Your kindness, generosity, and everything you do for the community is through the roof, buddy. How are you this evening?
Guess who's back? Back again. Hustle's back. Tell a friend. And if you all want context to what I'm talking about, hey, Mooch, you got to start putting those pre-conversations. I think you should put it on a Patreon to or something, or your perks for your joint members. Because boy, oh boy, just shout out to Eminem, the second best rapper on the planet, next to Jay-Z, of course.
Well, there you go.
My fault. Thank you for having me. That's
not a problem, Hustle. I got news. I think that conversation might come up throughout this podcast, but we'll see. We will see. Now a returning special guest here. Outstanding to have him. He was supposed to be on a few weeks ago, but life gets in the way. But it is outstanding to have this gentleman here because it's funny. I don't get a chance to say it often enough. But Broken Games is with us tonight, and BG, honestly, he's on Twitter. He gives his opinion, and listen, just because nobody would ever agree if you said 100%, you got to go 90. Nothing works in the world of absolutes these days. So, BG, welcome back to the show, buddy. And I got to tell you, you do a lot of hot takes on Twitter. Love what you do on YouTube, and 90% of the time, I got to be honest with you, I'm right there with everything you say. BG, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Hey, man, I appreciate the invite to be back on Crossfire. Definitely going to be a lot of energy on today's podcast. I don't think I can match it, though. I don't know if I can match it all the way. They got way more energy than me.
Well, we got to have the other side of the coin, BG, so it's not a problem, buddy. I'll be right there with you. It's outstanding to have you. And then we've got our special guest on tonight. First time. Been speaking to him back and forth for probably about a month and a half. Outstanding to have this man. And let me tell you something. You guys see him on Twitter. You guys see him on YouTube. You guys see him all over the place. But the thing about him that you guys may or may not know is just the amount of generosity as well. And just the giving this man does to the gaming community and local communities. And that's the one thing, hip hop, I want to talk to you about first and foremost before we even get into some of the games. Let people know I'm absolutely floored by the amount of goodwill and the things you do. And you do it through music, you do it through games, and you're able to bring all of this towards children that need it, communities that need it, and you definitely help the gaming community stay positive. So hip hop, welcome to Crossfire for the first time. And how are you this evening?
Hip-hop gamer, no stranger to danger. Number one journalist, quickly I changed the game up. Xbox 448, hustle and motivate. Broken games, HDR, brat, B-R-A-P. And give it up for the one and only Mooch, Crossfire, bang, bang, let's get it poppin'. I'm here and we live and we lit. Let's go, son.
Beautiful hip hop. I appreciate that, honestly, man. I really, really do. And to be honest with you, this is what I want to talk about because and having BG and having hip hop on at the same time, this is great because both of you guys had kind of a difference of opinion on this one game, and I think it's polarizing. I really do. I think this game is polarizing. It's amazing how so many people I'm reading on Twitter, YouTube reviews love it. Some hate it. Some say I'll love it if you do this. Some say I would hate it if you did that. And I want to kind of get into Returnal first, as much as I want to get into Resident Evil, because I know everyone kind of has also dipped their toe into the pool of Resident Evil. Let's talk about Returnal. And I'll start with Hip Hop. Hip Hop, one of the things that you kind of mentioned on Returnal is you said it's a dope game. You said it's a game that I will not be playing anymore until cheat codes arrive or an easy mode or something. It's a great game that misses perfection, trying to be a Souls game in a critical area. So, and I want to say, Hip Hop, you're not wrong. I get where you're coming from, but where do you think that games like this one here in particular, like Returnal, how do you kind of separate yourself and say, okay, maybe this game isn't for me versus the game needs to be made for everybody? Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe some things aren't made for everybody, but you're saying games should be made not necessarily to cater to one audience, but it should be made with an option for all audiences.
Oh, option. That's the only time I'm speaking. I'm only speaking from options because options make everything better, in my opinion. So I'll give you a great example of what I'm talking about. When I play Returnal, and I'm not the type of person that just speaks on my experience. You can see my live stream. You can see my first impression, how I feel about everything. Returnal is fire in every way. I went crazy playing this game, son. This game is fire straight up and down. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I feel like if I'm playing a game to have fun, to progress, and of course, get a challenge, but I'm looking to have fun and progress, period, right? Yes. So the example I wanted to bring up on this particular episode is if you look at a game like The Last of Us 2, right? You have a permadeath mode where you can play the game, and if you die, that's it. Like permadeath. Right. It's an option. It's an option. If you want to play like that, you can. If you don't, you don't have to.
That's right.
That's it. Like, it doesn't change it's not going to break the game or nothing like that. It's just the experience that you want. I'll give you another example, God of War. We grew up playing God of War where when you attack, you use a square button, to do your attacks and stuff like that, and triangle. So what did Corey Barlog and the team did? They left in a classic mode so you could play that way, or you could play the newer way with the R1 that's your attack and the R2 and stuff like that. It's just all about options. With Returnal, just like with Dark Souls and all these other games, I get it. They hard. They're designed to punish you and all this other stuff. That's fine. What I'm saying is, I'm playing the game to be annoyed and punished because I'm trying to prove to people that I'm some great. I'm not trying to be no esports pro player in Returnal. Returnal ain't no esport. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm trying to show you my skills, then play against me in the game, and I'll show you. Because here's the caveat right here, right? Everybody that talk about, get good, and this and that. Okay, play me in Tekken 7. Anybody, if you want to chat right now, or anybody that's listening, play me in Tekken 7, and I'll have my handicap all the way up, and you have yours all the way down. Which means that when I hit you, I'm gonna take away like almost all your power with just one little tap. Right. And if you hit, it's gonna take away little bits. And I don't want to hear nothing about it ain't fair, it ain't right. I'm gonna smoke you and kill you every time. That's not fun. That's annoying. I play games that have fun and progress. In Returnal, I just don't agree with and now don't get me wrong, it's a developer's choice. Like they make what they want to make.
Well,
not
hip hop.
telling them
Let me ask you a question. Do you
Right.
think it's more along the lines of whether or not it should have an easier mode, or if it should just have checkpoints or saves?
well,
you know what I'm saying? Like which are you asking for?
both.
Every well,
Both.
okay.
Both. Look, I
I said
think
options, man. Give them all.
Well, listen,
Give 'em
I'm
all.
just asking for. I want to
Yeah.
know. I want clarity. Yeah, I
yeah,
okay.
checkpoints. Like put a checkpoint there. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
one. And then if you have an easy, normal, hard, yeah. So like for example, right? When I'm playing the game and stuff like that, the controls, graphics, everything is fire, right?
Yes.
I just feel it's real cheap and cheesy that if I get hit a few times or something like that, and then so much power is taken away, and then I got to go through all of this, it gets annoying. Then if I happen to die, and then I got to do all that all over again, nah, bro. Put it like this: if you go to your job and you got a 40-hour work week, right, and you're supposed to get paid, and the boss say, you know what? Even though you're supposed to get paid $1,000 this week because you worked 40 hours and stuff like that, I'm gonna give you $100 because I just want you to get that much more better at your job.
Right.
So I'm gonna have you keep coming back and we gonna make you return to your
man.
job. Come on, man. No, we ain't doing that.
Hold on.
We
Okay,
ain't doing that.
I can't let you use that example. Hey, look.
No, I was just joking. I was just making a joke. I was just making a joke.
But,
Go ahead.
with a game like Returnal, because this is my first roguelike, like I'm still in the first dungeon or whatever.
Use the
Biome,
R
yep.
word. Use the
Yep.
R word, people.
What? Whatever.
Roguelite.
2 weeks ago, nobody on social media was saying roguelike at all. There was nobody out there like, damn, I really could use another roguelike game.
Hey,
Like,
no-
there was
no-
nobody
hey,
out there
listen.
saying anything like that.
Nobody was saying quick resume till November. Go ahead. It's all right.
Well, no, this is my first one, and I'm gonna keep it all the way gutter with you. I got a couple streams off of it, and I'm having fun getting my teeth bashed in. I'm just gonna be real with you. Like I'm learning so much, but it's fun, man. Like those games are like designed to be hard, and like what that teaches me. Like BG had did a video for like I think reviewer impressions or whatever he did. BG was like, I didn't know that you can dash through the projectiles. Like I had no idea, and just having like no knowledge whatsoever. I think the furthest that I made it to, it wasn't even at the first boss. The first place that I made it to was the house. Hip hop, you had brought up checkpoints. They, in a way that they actually do have checkpoints. If you get to the first boss and you beat the first boss, it's gone forever. Whether you cut the game off or not. If I'm speaking out of turn or if I'm incorrect, somebody let me know. There is a hard checkpoint at Palace or Dungeon 4 rather. So they're there. Earlier this week, BG had like a Twitter Spaces, and there was a gentleman who lived in Florida. Now, they should implement different saves probably after every other palace or every other biome rather that you go through because this gentleman was having power surges.
Right.
Like something like that I understand, but nah, keep that shit is tough as nails, tougher than leather, dog. You got to keep it that way because I want to feel accomplished when I actually get through whatever it is that I got to get through. Like I love that shit.
It's all about what the developers want from this game. If they want this game to catch on to like the wider demographic, the casual stuff like that, then they would definitely want to put like checkpoints. They give the options.
Okay, that's
on whether or not
Xbot. I like where you're going with that. I just want to throw this volleyball up in the air and see who on the panel wants to spike it. I know BG can't wait to jump up and spike this one, but let me say this. That's an interesting point you just said. Because I mean, let's be honest. At the end of the day, the developer wants to make an outstanding product. Number two, they want to sell a lot of these copies, right? They want to sell a ton of these. That's the end result here. So, what is the end result here when you do make a game that is not as forgiving as other games? Xbot, you make a great point. Could that inhibit sales? Does that lower your chances of reaching a larger audience? Probably, right?
People look at like the Souls genre and,
Right.
and how that built up from like a cult following to building up its own kind of like genre and stuff like that. And I think there are other developers thinking that they can do something like that. But at the end of the day, I don't think you're gonna strike that match as often as some developers would like. And it depends on what the developers want from this game.
Right.
If they want to develop that cult following, if they don't
Right.
necessarily,
But think about the cult. Think about the
cult.
cult following that Dark Souls has.
Well, that's what it was built on in the beginning, and that has just done nothing but grown with sequel after sequel. So it depends on what the developers want to do here. If they want to break out the gate and just automatically grab as many of the casual market as they can, they would put the options in that Hustle was talking about, that Hip Hop was talking about. But if they're trying to make something, I think this game is interesting because it reminds me of that asymmetrical kind of like top-down shooter game where you got all these like different enemies shooting at you in different patterns and stuff like that, but it's in third person view.
It's and it's funny, I said this a few weeks ago, and I don't know if anyone remembers it. I said before the game came out, I said what I'm interested to see, and I think that House Marquee did it beautiful.
Mooch.
Well, no, it's not that. I said
brother, go ahead.
No. I'm going somewhere else. I said if you look at the old Doom games, right, and look at how Doom 2016 came out, they took a little bit of every single thing, put a 3D world into it, and then that's the Doom 2016 that was born. If you look at all the games that House Marquee makes, they took everything that they make and they kind of popped it off of a 2D screen and made it three-dimensional. It's an unbelievable game. I really truly love this game. And let me just read a few of these super chats before I get a couple more panel members involved, because this is a very, very, I wouldn't use the word touchy. I would say it's definitely a diverse subject here because a lot of people are all over on it. Face23 says Jez, Xbox competition is Google and Amazon. Microsoft and Court Transcript says PlayStation is their competition. So Face23, we'll get into that. That is a topic, believe it or not, later on tonight. The great Marty Bison says, what's up, panel? Love how hard Returnal is. Reminds me of the old school days gaming. Fantastic. Marty's right. I mean, anybody who's a little bit older, not going to mention how old, but a little bit older, we remember it was very unforgiving back in the day. And JudaZuk, Mooch Maniac family member, he says, all games give you an option. The option to not play the game it is too hard for you, or if you do not like it for some reason. So shout out to JudaZuk as well. Brap, if you have something, and I definitely want to get BG's take on this too, because I think hip hop made some really good points.
Yeah. I just, for me at least, I think the beauty of this game is that it shows the range that gaming has right now. Like we have Resident Evil Village that just came out, different type of game.
Yeah.
And then you have a game like Returnal.
Good point.
They're
very different.
Very, but that's the beauty of gaming, that range in terms of the kind of style of games that we can enjoy, the kind of taste we have as gamers, and it's to be celebrated. And the one thing that I'll say about Returnal, at least for me, and you mentioned older gamers, Mooch, like I'm old. I'm not old, but I'm old. Like this game reminds me of like I get a lot of Contra vibes. If you guys remember Contra, unless the up down BA select start, that was the only way you were going to ever beat that game. But using that glitch, right? Well, I shouldn't say that because eventually
there was the code.
Yeah, the code. And but that game was hard. And like Ghost and Goblins, same thing. Like getting out of.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, remember Ghost and Goblins?
Do I ever? Still got nightmares.
Yeah, I mean the Castlevania games, Metroid. I mean those games weren't easy games, and this game is kind of a nod to that. There's a lot of that influence there in this game that I love because it brings me back to how I started playing video games. Now, is this game for everyone? Maybe not. I think that's evident by some of the discussions you're seeing in social media.
Right.
But I got to say though, like the release of this game, the timing of this game is perfect because I think this game probably would have got lost if it would have been released later on the generation when these consoles start getting their legs under them and you start seeing more of those big AAA, maybe narrative driven type games. Those games that
it definitely would if it released with like the crashes issue and stuff like that has been going on. It definitely would have been lost if it went out later.
Yeah. But I gotta say that like for Housemarque, like I think this is gonna be one of the games. And I've always thought they're a super talented developer. I mean, like they've like Resogun, Nex Machina. These are some of the games they put out. And I think that this is kind of for them, kind of the next step, next evolution, the chapter as a studio. Where they're taking that next step. And I'm really excited to see what they make in the future. But this game, at least in my opinion, Mooch, this game has beaten me up. And I spent 15 hours in the first biome, but I tell you what,
I can't stop playing it.
I had a blast. The gameplay loop is so addictive.
That's the thing I kind of want to bring up. And Brap, you kind of set up a great segue there for my next point on this game is that shout out to Blessing, who works over at, I think, Kind of Funny Games. He said, it's funny, we talk about the $70 issue and we talk about the difficulty in this and that. And he says, here it is. I'm enjoying Resident Evil 8. He said, I am. But he said he beat that game in, I don't know what it was, 8, 9, 10, 11 hours. And he's like, I'm done with it. He goes, where Returnal, I have many, 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 many more hours into it. And he goes, I don't see myself stopping to play this game. And that's where I'm at. And it's funny because Xbot, don't get me wrong, what you said 2 weeks ago, I would have been like, yep, 100%. Don't want Returnal coming out in May. There's too many games. I got news for you. I'm definitely going to play Resident Evil 8, and I'm going to go to BG here because I see BG. You did a tweet similar to this.
Yeah.
You said I'm playing some Resident Evil 8, but I don't think Resident Evil 8 would steal you away from Returnal.
No, like I played. So I'm gonna get back to Hip Hop Gamer's point.
Yes,
but
please.
Yeah, I played Resident Evil 8 for about an hour and a half and went right back to Returnal.
Yep.
And it's because Resident Evil, you know, I don't want to seem like the old purist, but Resident Evil is better in third person, right? The problem with Resident Evil wasn't the camera angle, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the over the shoulder problem. It was that they made the game way too action with Resident Evil 6 and 5. So you could have kept the same camera angle and the game, in my opinion, would be better. So that's why Resident Evil isn't stealing me away from Returnal.
Right.
And to what he said about the difficulty, it is about what the developer's vision is of their game, right?
Yes.
And if they want there to be certain parameters of how people beat their game, then you know that is up to them. What I can say about like you know, and I get it. I'm all about I guess having options are fine, everything like that, having all the accessibility. I believe that the greater the challenge, the greater the reward. When I think of the best memories I have in games and the games I beat, it's not the easy games. Those are forgettable. The ones I just like walked right through, those are forgettable. It's the hardest ones that I have the memories of. You know, that's
a good point.
To me, if there is no challenge, there is no fun.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, when
And
people say, do you remember your childhood, right, BG? You're thinking, you'll go ahead and start talking about games like we just said, whether it be Super Ghouls and Ghosts, or you're talking about Contra, any of the old school games. I don't care which one you're talking about, where you got 3 lives and basically a prayer to get through the entire game. I do agree with you on that point.
And let me just say, this is not, you know, showing off or, you know, flexing or anything. Returnal honestly isn't that hard once you learn about the game's mechanics. I beat the game yesterday, the entire game without dying once. And if you would have told me like I could do that when I first started playing the game, I would be like, no way. But it's once you understand the game. Even Jack Move hit. I think he DM'd me or tweeted it. He said I think he said he made it through biome 1 through 3 without even getting hit. Without even getting hit. I haven't even done that. Right.
No.
I beat the whole entire game without dying though. It's really just psychological, right? It's a mental thing where the developers, especially at you know, when you start out the game, they really convince you that this game is really that hard when it's not. The longer you stay alive, the more they reward you. Yes, the game punishes you for dying, but the longer you stay alive, the more you become like this god, this OP like human.
Agreed.
To the point where you couldn't die. Like by the time I was like halfway through the second biome, because you know they reset you at the 4th one pretty much.
Yep.
It's impossible for you to even die at that point because you collect so many items, so many buffs where you literally can't even die anymore. So people just have to get over the intimidation factor of a game like Returnal.
You know, BG,
Because-
let me ask you though a question, because I think you made some outstanding points, and I want to ask you because I did watch your review, and you'd mentioned a few of those things you just said in the review, and I'm like, I can't wait to talk to BG about this tonight. I was told early on, and I think this is what's kind of messed my head up. I'm spending so much time in the first biome trying to get, as you can see right now, if you look on the screen, you'll see that there's the 2 health bars. I'm trying to get where that health bar right there is before I even leave the first area to go to the 3rd area. So I'll go through the entire first area, sweep it clean. Then I go to the second area, which is not very big, and I sweep it clean. And then I go to the 3rd area. And I think sometimes I'll get frustrated, try to just move a little faster, and then I'll die real quick in the 3rd. And I don't feel like doing that whole sweep and clean. Do you need, let me ask you this question. Do I need to continue? Do players need to continue going through and cleaning the first biome entirely before advancing to, let's say, the 3rd biome?
It's highly recommended. That's pretty much, you know, what I did on my runs where I didn't die at all. Yeah, it's recommended because you get to buff your character, you get to improve your character, you make them this, you know, just this human that's really hard to kill. And the thing about like people bring up the Souls games is that, the aura around the Souls games, if you realize it, it doesn't really have this like aura anymore. There's not this gate that it once had where you have to be this elite gamer to play Souls games. People look at like Souls games like, you know, like 10 years ago, like people wouldn't touch it because they were so afraid of it. Now people aren't afraid of it like that anymore because the veil has been lifted.
It has been lifted.
And people have figured out the formula. Yeah. It's all smoke and mirrors. Most of these games aren't actually that hard. So if that could be, you know, that veil of difficulty can be removed from the Souls games, which took a while, then it's Returnal is honestly the same thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't really think that they need to do that. I don't think if they added an easy mode or anything like that in this game, I don't think it would affect the sales that much. Like people would suddenly start picking it up if it has an easier mode. I don't think it would affect it that much.
You know, it's funny that we're talking so much about this game. And granted, this game basically just came out and such, but I think a lot of people are giving a lot more credibility or whatnot than really needs with this game. Because at the end of the day, this game is what it is. You know, I feel like, you know, a couple months down the line, I don't think we're going to be talking about Returnal anymore, to be really honest.
I don't agree with that.
No, I really feel like, you know,
I don't agree with that at all.
I know you wouldn't, man.
No, and it's not because of what you think.
Why wouldn't we talk about it though?
I think it's just gonna fade into the background. Is what's gonna.
I think you take games like Nex Machina, and you take games that are of that caliber. I'm trying to think of the other. What's the other great game by House Marquina? I'm drawing a blank on it.
Resogun.
Resogun. Those are the types of guns those are the types of games where you say I enjoyed playing them. But after a certain amount of time, then I agree with you, Xbot. After playing Nex Machina through, I was kind of like, I'm not going to play this through again. What's funny about it is I see a lot of people that are online on Twitter that say they've already beaten this game. And BGB1, I see when they pop on PlayStation, they'll pop on and they're playing this game again. Again.
I can almost guarantee when it comes down to it, a couple months down the line, you're really not going to.
Well, I can't speak for a year from now. But
my question is okay, but what exactly? Like, I don't really subscribe to that. If nobody's talking about it after a couple of months, that means that indicates something bad.
No, but I'm just saying that, like, you know, everybody is fluffing it up so much now, and maybe over dissecting the game so much that, you know, it's like the talk of the town right now, because let's face it, it's a new PlayStation game, PS5, I you know, all that good stuff. But it's really that, like I said, it's that asymmetrical kind of like shooter where you got.
Don't forget BG's review. He gave it a 7.5. He didn't give it a 10.5. You know, I mean, like it's not. I agreed with his review. Before he actually said the numerical value, I was saying he's going to give it an 8. I thought he was going to go 8, and he went 7.5. And I understand. I think the 7.5. And BG, I'm not going to speak for you. Did you remove some? You removed a lot of points, I think, basically because of the technical issues we're facing.
Yeah, it was mainly because of the technical issues. And the thing is, like, the best thing this game has going for it is they captured an addictive formula, an addictive gameplay loop. Other than that, there's nothing like spectacular that this game does, right? Mm-hmm. The visuals are okay. The story, you know, that's very up in the air, and, you know, it's up for interpretation, but it's nothing amazing, nothing that's going to blow your socks off, and you know, and the gameplay, it's a lot of different elements from other games, but but the game doesn't excel, like is not a super above average in any one aspect. It's just a good game. Right? It's a good and addictive game. That's all.
It's addictive. That's the thing. I think that's it more than anything. There's a lot of games that you beat and then you put it down and you forget about it. You're like, I'm done. This game, for some reason, even I'm doing a podcast right now. I hate that I'm actually playing the gameplay here because I want to go play the game.
Yeah, I'm playing right now.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's how great this game. Now, I want to go back to hip hop. And I like how the panel kind of went around and there was a real diversity. There was a one side that says, you know what? BG side saying, oh, you practice. There are ways to start to just learn this. The veil has been lifted, like you say in the Souls. You can do that same thing in this type of gameplay. When you hear that hip hop, do you think it's something that with just time and practice? Like, I'll give you an example. Those Trials games, the dirt bike games, maybe a bad example, but I just mean where I play those to nauseasm because I like to keep doing something until I hit perfect. Not even complete the course. I want to get the gold medal on it. So I'll keep doing that until I can get the time perfect. When you hear that kind of strategy, does that change your mind at all, hip hop, or you still think that maybe this should have been toned back a bit?
No, I don't think anything should have been toned back. I think the game, the way it is perfectly fine. I think the game was a 9 out of 10. Like the game is amazing to me. It's just that part right there to me is annoying. It's like, it's like out of all the stuff you got going on, because even when you die, you go directly back to the boss, but then you ain't gonna have everything you had. So it's like it's pointless. So to me, what I would say is everybody's experience with Returnal so far, how would that experience change if there was an option to play differently? Like that's all I'm saying. And like I give you an example. Right now, let's say the way Returnal is right now, let's say that was hard mode.
Okay.
So if you want to play on hard mode, go ahead. Ain't nobody telling you not to. But for those that don't want to deal with that craziness, let them play on normal, let them play on easy, so they can just have their own experience.
So I got a question there. Hold on.
That's all I'm saying.
Go
ahead.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah, bro.
You're not gonna feel like that's not gonna like compromise like the integrity of the game or like compromise like the actual vision of what the developers wanted to put out there. Because I feel like that's, maybe I'm reaching, but I feel like that's like censorship in a way. Like, yo, there's a reason why that game and like Demon Souls and stuff like that, there's a reason why it's like revered the way that they are. Like, I respect the fact that it's that difficult. And like I said it earlier, like if I can get through it, like, because I play different types of games, but if I can get through something like that difficult, like for me, I feel like it's gonna like help me. It's gonna help me improve in different games anyway. It's gonna help me look at different situations and like, let's say Last of Us 2, just like how I'm moving around in this game. So it'll like, I'll use this game as like a teaching tool to be like, yo, you just got to be way more patient, and you can't be running out guns a-blazing and all that. That's why like, I get the save option, but again, like they got like a save option. Like once you beat the boss ain't there no more. And BG, am I wrong about this, or Mooch, am I wrong about this?
The boss is not there. And BG, I want to ask BG. I'm not past the third biome yet. I haven't beaten the third boss yet. But once you beat the third boss, there is a checkpoint. I've heard. Is that true?
Yeah. After you beat the boss, then the fourth biome is your checkpoint. Yeah.
Okay. So there is a happy medium there. But I tell you, I heard that. Now, is it also true? These are all, you like this stuff, BG? You've been brought in to debunk all the ridiculousness that the internet has provided. Is the third biome by far the most difficult one, or that's not true?
That's where it starts to spike. Yeah, that's where it starts to spike. But it's easy if you, let's say you went through the first biome, the second one, and you didn't die. Then the third biome isn't that hard. It's when you die and like, let's say you go straight to the third biome.
Yes.
You're going in naked, so you don't have anything. That's why if you die, you need to go back to the first biome, run through there, and then the third one is a little bit easier.
Okay.
Wow. So all right. So let me just jump right back in real quick, son. So my thing is this, right? So I done played and beat all these games back in the day when y'all was talking about back in the day in the 80s and stuff like that. Like before I had Game Genie and Code Breaker, all these other all these other joints. What you think I did? Like I beat everything.
Right.
So I beat Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson Punch Out.
Yes.
Or like that was like Bloodborne in itself.
Yes.
Like my thing is, it's not the fact that I can't beat it. It's not the fact that a lot of these people playing the game can't beat it. It's annoying. Like if you, I'm playing like how you was talking about Resident Evil earlier. To me, Resident Evil is way better game than Returnal is to me, and I'm playing it. I'm having fun and all of that. There's a few things I would say should be a little better, but my experience overall in Resident Evil is way better. You kidding me? But the point I'm trying to say is Returnal is addicting, is great, and all of that stuff. All I'm saying is if I'm playing the game and I'm playing the game to have fun and progress. That's where any game, I'm playing the game to have fun and progress. If I'm playing Call of Duty and stuff like that, I'm not the best Call of Duty player in the world. I'm good. I ain't nice like that, like how Red Infamy is. But I could play it. I could get some kills, go in and have fun, and I'm chilling. Like, I'm good. But if I was playing Call of Duty, the story mode, like the actual campaign, and if I couldn't get past the first campaign or I get killed and now there's no checkpoint, I gotta go do all this other stuff again, you'd be surprised at how a lot of people will be like, yo, this is annoying. Like, I just want to play the game to have fun and progress. That's it. It doesn't mean I can't beat it, because I can, but I don't want to play a game to be annoyed. So when Returnal comes to PC, or if they come out with a PS5 save, was it like how they got the PS4 save, was it?
Yep.
Then I'll jump back into it, get my infinite health, and we lit.
See, that's the beauty. That is the beauty of it. It's funny because I got to tell you, it's. I'll just tell you before the show starts, I'm definitely on a little bit more of the BG side saying, I don't mind grinding and getting used to the game, but hip hop makes a good point. there are games out there that I know that myself, I've definitely tweeted out. I'm like, I played this game on hard. I beat it on hard. Okay. Then I know other people like they say they beat it on easy and they enjoyed that game. It didn't take away from my experience, so I do understand where hip hop's coming from with that point.
That's the only point I'm trying to make. If you play the game all hard, it's like if you're walking down the block. You can, if I'm trying to go to the mall, right? And I'm walking down the block, I could walk, or I could drive, or I could take this shortcut. Either way, we get to the same destination, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So your way and my way may be completely different. But if this is what I want to experience the way I want to,
that's an interesting point.
It doesn't take away from what you want to experience.
The only part
That's all I'm saying.
I kind of disagree with is the cheats. Like the options, the modes, the only part I disagree with is the cheats, though.
Why? Why? What's wrong with cheats?
Because
I'm not cheating against a person. I'm cheating against a computer. I don't care. Like, what's wrong with that?
Beating a game with cheats isn't actually beating it.
How you figure? How you figure? What don't I get that you get if I use the cheats, or don't, like, do we get different endings? What's different? I'm trying to get it.
What you don't get is the challenge that the developers developed into the game. They literally put it in the game so you could go through that.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is, like, right now, right? I'm playing Resident Evil. I ain't downloaded on PC yet. When I streamed it yesterday, I played it on PS5. So I'm playing the game and stuff like that, right? So I'll tell you one thing that annoyed me, but I'll tell you the experience overall. So I'm playing the game, right? And even with headshots, like, I only got like 10 rounds of ammo. It took like 6-7 shots to kill this one Lycan, and there's a whole bunch of them over there. I'm like, yo, this is annoying, because by the time I run out of all the ammo, I got all these people, and I gotta run around it. No, that's not fun. That's whack to me. So the way I look at it is, if I'm playing the game, well, I got infinite ammo or not, the experience that I'm having, just going through the game, learning the story, going to this area, going to this world, just simply playing the game is what I love. And just to bring some more context to addictive gameplay, any game that's good will always be played. Like, I hear a lot of people talk about, like,
Anthem had addictive gameplay, but look what happened to that game. Let's be real.
Yeah, like, and I love Anthem. I champion Anthem. That game is crazy. But here's the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is, any game that's a good game will always be played. So I'll give you what I mean. I could play Fight Night Champions right now and go crazy on it, and that's an old game. You know what I'm saying? I could play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time right now and play that joint all day, because it's a great game. So when people talk about, oh, I played The Last of Us, or I played this and now I'm done with it, that's bull. Because ain't no way in the world you're gonna play a great game like Uncharted 4 or something like that and just never
never pick it up again. Right?
Come on, you lying. A great game will always be played. That's the replay value. And certain games got higher replay values than others. True. But a great game will always be played. That's why we can sit up here and talk about it, because it's a part of the culture.
Yeah.
Period.
No. Go ahead, Hip Hop. Hustle, I want to get you in here. I do want to introduce Slow-Mo Backslap. Slow-Mo, you are joining at a great time, to be honest with you. Hustle, I'm going to give you the mic first, but Slow-Mo, we are in the discussion right now before we move on to Resident Evil. We're kind of wrapping up on the issues of the first week, of course, with Returnal, also the highs and lows. And then we were kind of having a great debate right now on whether or not Returnal, like we have done this before in the Souls games, we've done this with Bloodborne before as well, whether or not an easy mode or something of that nature should be an option. Not to take it and don't change the game at all the way it is. The way it is the way it is, but present an option for easier modes to be present in the game. Hustle, I did take the mic away from you, but I did want to get Slow-Mo's thought on that too before we move on.
I wouldn't want to change the developer's vision for the game. So if they wanted to have no difficulty settings, no way to lower the difficulty, if they wanted no checkpoints, then so be it. I mean, that's the way they designed the game to be. My only issue, and the reason why I stopped playing until the game could be a little bit more stable, is the issues with crashing. Because if you have a game like this where there's no chance to save your progress, but the game crashes on you or you're stuck in a room, these kind of issues. I know not everyone dealt with that, but a significant number of people did. And then they push out a patch that I was hoping was going to fix it, but
made it worse.
Kind of made it worse.
Oh yeah.
I said, you know what? let me just wait. I'll shelve the game for now, and then I'll get back into it, because it happened to me one time, and I was kind of irked by it, but it wasn't like too. I'm still in Biome 1, so like I wasn't even like that upset about it, but it was just like
it's the point of this, because you could have been in
like,
Biome 3, you could have been you could have been further along.
Exactly. I could be further along, and like I have no problem if I played 2 hours and then I died on my own volition. That's my fault for sucking.
Well,
right. But if the game crashes on me, I'm just like, well, look, man, maybe I would have made it to the next biome, but instead I don't have that opportunity anymore. So it's like, I think that's something that I would have wished Housemarque would have made sure was good to go before releasing the game.
Didn't they say it was a Sony issue? It wasn't really them.
So there was talk like the first 2 days after the game came out that this was a Sony issue, but
it ain't us. It ain't us with our game. It's how they put it into the system.
Well, you know what they say, when there's smoke, there's fire. The problem was this smoke was put out real quick, because the problem was that then you had the developer saying, we have, just as an example, I was going to update the audience here. There was a tweet that came out, and it was GameSpot, I believe, GameSpot tweets or something like that tweeted it out. The new Returnal patch fix for corrupted save issues releases tomorrow. Now, that's kind of like bittersweet in one way. That's really nice. I like to see that they did that. First of all, it should never have been an issue, first of all. Second of all, I know most people probably just started over from the beginning again. I don't think anybody just was like, well, I left it in rest mode and you ruined it for me, so I guess I'll just wait till you fix it. I don't think that happened. So I don't know how many people are actually going to be able to take advantage of that, but I think it ended up being on the developer side.
If only PS5 had quick resume, there would be no problem.
I don't think quick resume would fix it, but I'm not sure. I don't play developer. I'm not sure.
I don't know how quick resume could fix a crash.
Listen,
I don't know about that.
Listen, Xbox.
That's an interesting take.
He's just doing an Xbox plug. It's legal. It's free.
Talk about the system going to sleep, and then when they go to start it back up, and then the game crashes. Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
With the quick resume, it just suspends it right there for you. Like, no
well, that's
problem.
what rest mode is supposed to do as well. However, I believe just like with Xbox, I believe the same thing with Xbox is the same thing with PlayStation. When they push through an update and it updates your software, whether you're in quick resume or you're in rest mode, it will shut it down.
It shuts it down.
Yeah,
it's gonna shut it down.
So there's no way to really escape that, and that's what the problem was. They pushed through something that A, didn't fix it, and B, they shouldn't have pushed it through. It should have been a manual only for folks, because they know that the way
Xbox fans in the chat, what is up?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I told you they'd be out there, guys. By the way, speaking of the chat, please hit the like button, tweet it out, let everybody know we are here, and don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. I'm going to start over with Hip Hop again. Hip Hop, I want to talk about Resident Evil Village. I saw you also did a live playthrough. I watched a bit of it. You were definitely enjoying this game, and listen, I know we were kind of comparing the two, and I was only doing that because of certain instances. Really, these are two very different games. Right. This game here, I'm a huge Resident Evil fan as well. I gotta say, I think that I don't know if after we get done playing Resident Evil 8, if we'll be done with that first person. Maybe we do gotta kind of go back to a third person thing. But before we get into that, what's your take on this game as it currently stands right now? I mean, what's the good and the bad? I mean, the game is sitting at a mid 80 meta, which is, in my personal opinion, it's a good score. You know what I mean? So it's not a bad score at all.
Who?
Exactly.
Well,
meta who?
Well, to be honest, I played like a good hour and a half of it so far. Like, you know what I mean? So I can only speak up to the point that I've played. So so far this game is incredible. I love it. I love the way the story is going. And the thing is, if you didn't play Resident Evil 7, it ain't gonna hit you as hard. It's from the story standpoint, because you're gonna be missing some things. Right. But if you did play it, oh man, like it goes in like right off the gate when Eat This show up and all this. Oh my god, son, this joint is crazy. So then, so the part that was bugging me out was, like I told you earlier, like if you run out of ammo, then you just using your knife, and then you gotta block and stuff. It gets kind of cheesy. Like combat wise, it get a little cheesy around that part where they trying to grab you, you can block. But if I'm just blocking and you grab, you still grab. Like, it was just a little cheesy right there. But other than that, everything else so far is great. Graphics, voice acting, everything was on point. I just believe that the first person mode, because I know BG was talking about how he feels the third person mode will be better. To me, I like it either way, but the first person mode is better to me. and it just brings me closer to the scare factor, to the action, to the immersion, like the upfront enemies and just the detail and the graphics. I'm a graphics person, so nah, bro. The third person doesn't replicate what the first person did, and especially after playing PT. Shout out to Kojima. After playing PT, yo, survival horror is just different now. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, bro, I prefer the first person mode now, and the third person, like BG said, it was more action oriented.
Yes.
I think that's where Resident Evil kind of fell off a bit. It got too action oriented, and now it's back to where it need to be, and I love it like this.
I'm going to do a quick shout out to that guy Smitty. He says, "Does Xbox? I think he means Xbot. Does Xbot even play PlayStation games?" So you got that one for you there. Then Magnificent Black says, "Xbot 448."
I did until Spider-Man, and then I sold my PS4.
Yeah, boy, Spider-Man really left a bad mark on you, Xbot. He's Magnificent Black says Xbot 448.
Hold on, wait. Somebody don't like Spider-Man. What are we talking about?
The Xbot 448 was not a huge fan.
No,
of Spider-Man.
No. It was a typical Spider-Man game. Like I thought Insomniac could do so much more. When they talked about a living world,
who is this?
Yo, listen. What are you guys listen, man? Yo, like when they talked about the open world and everything, I thought like you would go and stop a bank robbery, right? And you know, like how in Marvel the villains have thugs and stuff like that. I thought you could climb a ladder up to like a super villain in that world. So you have the main story, but you also have other super villains that you can go up to, you know, that you can build your way up to in that world. So you see, I thought Insomniac, they are a quality developer. I thought they would do something in that nature. And then when it came out, shout out to
what you're saying is still an open world game. What you're talking about is a game design choice for missions, not
right.
open world.
He's talking about like the Mafia game design. That's almost how Mafia works with the crime boss.
Yeah,
right.
And when I got in and I played it, it was just another Spider-Man game. And
we agree to disagree.
I was hyping it up before it
you
came
were.
out. Actually the one down.
Yeah, I was gonna say we switched. I was the one downplaying it when I played that game. I loved it.
Yeah, we agree to disagree, Xbox. Much love to you, bro, but we agree to disagree on that one.
Magnificent. Shout out to Magnificent Black though. He said Xbox 448. Perhaps you should play the game before downplaying it. Maybe he wants you to play the game.
Nobody judges games that they haven't picked up, right?
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead, Hustle.
Hey, Xbox, I think you should play Spider-Man Miles Morales. I think you would get a lot of enjoyment out of that. That's all.
Basically the same game.
I think you should
go on the PS4 Spider-Man. So I mean,
I think you should play it before you go back to it. I think you'll enjoy that. It's a nice small.
I hear you. So, you know what? I respect your opinion, bro. So if you want to go ahead and buy me a PS5 and just send it in my direction, I will give you my access, all that good stuff.
You don't even got, whoa. You don't have PS5?
No, why? You gonna give me one?
Wait a minute.
No, wait. I'm lost now.
I like how Hip Hop's in shock. He's like, wait, you do not have a PS5?
Oh, so wait, he was saying the Spider-Man from 2018.
I thought he was talking about Miles Morales.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about Miles Morales.
No, he's talking about.
Well, first of all, the Spider-Man from 2018 and Miles Morales.
Yeah.
You need you need to play this game for real. Like I don't know what your experience was like. Here's one thing I would say, Xbot and everybody that's listening to the chat, because I had to tell the game industry as a whole about this. I was like, a lot of people who talk and complain about certain games, I need to see you play this game so I can understand how you come to the conclusion. So did you stream it?
Yes, I did.
You did? I need to see how you come to the conclusion. So I'm definitely gonna go to your channel and look at,
because Xbox, you're a huge Spider-Man fan too. That's what's shocking about it.
Just go ahead and hit that big red rectangle that says subscribe right there. I would greatly appreciate that as well, bro.
Shameless plug. I love it. That's great.
I like that.
That's it. Self-promotion. Love the promotion. No, I mean, who else got a chance? And now, BG, I know you played Resident Evil. Did you feel the same way that Hip Hop felt about it?
It's just, listen, Resident Evil is just way better in third person to me. This first person is just, for one thing, the combat just isn't as good, and it feels more like Outlast or even somewhat of a and Outlast is a great game.
It is, yeah.
But Resident Evil in first person doesn't even feel like a great first person shooter. As Hip Hop pretty much just admitted it himself, like I know he loves the game, but the shoot is so
it's cheesy moments. I agree with what BG. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I agree with what BG is saying. There's some parts where it's a bit cheesy because the way like it's designed, but outside of that, when you take consideration the other elements of the scare factor and everything that it has to offer, that right there is brilliant. But BG is absolutely correct with what he's saying. I get his point.
So I played it on both PS5 and PC because Jack Move is my share partner on PlayStation. So he bought it on PlayStation. I first played it on PlayStation because my PC was acting a little bit crazy at the moment. So I pretty much couldn't it felt crazy. Aiming felt crazy. And it was because on default, the aiming, for some reason, the aiming acceleration was all the way up. I turned that down and it felt a little bit better. So the aiming is just felt really bad. Right. So it doesn't control well as a first person.
That was
shooter.
The same way in RE7 too, right, BG? That's the way I felt.
Yeah. And I didn't like RE7 like that either. Right. So I go to PC and it feels better on PC because you're making like the fine mouse movements. It's a lot more accurate. And on RE7, I think it wasn't as bad because I can't. To me, RE7 was pretty damn forgettable. And I'm like a big Resident Evil fan. I beat RE7. I couldn't tell you like more than 3 things that happened in that game. But I remember the enemies were like these generic slow moving enemies. But in RE8, right off the bat, you got these Lycans who are literally ducking underneath your shots and they're shimmying and Harlem shaking and all this stuff. And on the controller, it was like I can't even land a headshot. On PC, it was a lot easier to land a headshot. But besides that, I'm just not feeling the whole first person combat way. Like for horror, for the horror atmosphere is perfect because not being able to see all around you with the limited FOV is great. It's perfect for horror, but it's not good for combat. It's not at least not for Resident Evil. It just doesn't work well for me.
Now, I'm sorry, I got to jump in. I wanted to say this. So this is what I mean about options. Now, let's say Resident Evil 7 and 8 had the option to go third person, like it did with Resident Evil 6 and 5 and everything else.
Right.
If that option was there, this would be a different conversation because he could play his way and I can play my way, and we could both be impactful and we could both have our own experience and love it. Then the other thing is with the shooting. I'm not sure about you, but I have assist mode on. So when I aim in a direction, it automatically locks onto a headshot and boom. So I'm lit.
Well, here's the thing. So I want to bring something up, though, in what you just said. And don't get me wrong, I would like the utopia where everything would be like that. But Hip Hop, here's the one game that comes to mind. And you guys tell me, please, if you guys have a game that's first person and third person besides the one I'm about to mention, the one that comes to mind immediately is PUBG. And they were like, you can now play PUBG in first person. I tried that. It was an absolute catastrophe. And it was because it wasn't because the game couldn't be made like that. It just wasn't made correctly like that. So
and
I
GTA,
have yet, right? Have you guys
GTA
played it?
5, yeah.
Have you guys
GTA,
played it?
Yeah.
Okay, GTA. But even GTA is a little wonky when you go to first person.
That shit is
First
horrible,
person,
Mooch.
yeah.
You being nice. That shit is horrible in first person.
Terrible,
Right.
Especially if
Yeah,
you drive
I don't like it either. I don't like it either.
Absolutely awful.
That's my only point. Go ahead, Slomo.
The thing is that like when the developer decides to go one perspective or the other, like if you decide to go third person perspective, now you got to actually start like doing animations. You guys, I forgot what it's called, but it's like where characters are walking and it looks realistic. I forgot the exact term they use in development terms and how they it's like AI that does all the work for them to make sure that it like leaning left and right when you say you are running and you want to turn around a corner, the way make sure that kind of stuff looks realistic. All that stuff takes a lot of work and a lot of time to develop. It's the reason why with Cyberpunk they just said, you know what, first person, because it's just like at the time with the engine, that red engine wasn't what the improvements they were doing with it. It wasn't capable of doing what they wanted to do for third person perspective, so they went to first person because it was less work for them to do. And usually, I mean, we saw it with GTA where they eventually years later allowed the first person mode. It normally, and that's a Rockstar big old 1,000 man studio. Like most studios just can't do that. They're either going to choose one or the other, and they're going to stick with it.
No, I agree.
No, and like I said, I understand that. We got a lot of examples of how something didn't work out, you know what I'm saying? So I get that, but my point is it's not impossible for a game developer to do something and it works and it's successful on both ends. And that's all I'm saying. It may take more work, and if it does, then I understand why they wouldn't, because more work, more money, investment. Yeah, exactly. So if you can't do it, can't do it. And that's my whole thing. Like, I'm the kind of person where when I play any game and stuff like that, like I play the game to have fun. Like, fun factor is a part of my review score. If I ain't having fun with a game because of whatever it is that's a part of it, that's my experience. Can I get through it? Of course I can. Yeah. But do I want to punish myself to get through this? No, because now it's not fun. It becomes more of a chore, and I'm just trying to get through this, and I'm just like, tired of it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to have that experience. So, Returnal is amazing. I love the graphics. I love the gameplay. I love the fluidity of how they was able to transfer a 2D Resident Gun experience into a 3D game. That right there is beyond brilliant. Like, look, Housemarque is gangster with it, son. This is incredible. Incredible development. But and you can see in my stream, I'm going crazy. But when I died, I was like, oh, that's what it is. So I went right back to the boss because I'm excited. I'm like, oh, I can go right back to the boss. I don't got to do all this stuff over again. I go to the boss and I'm like, now I see why I have to do all this stuff over again, because I'm not well equipped. And then I do all this stuff over again, and I get there, and I get to the last part of the boss, about to kill him, and one little mistake, and then boom, I died, and I'm like, you know what? This is not fun no more. You know what it's like? It's like it's like being in a relationship and you just being abused.
I heard this one on the internet.
Every day. Being abused all day, every day in a relationship, and somebody gonna sit up there, well, get good, and you'll no, get out of here. Like, we out. That's it. We ain't doing that.
No, I go ahead, Xbox.
When it comes to first person, third person, when it comes to Resident Evil, I think the deal was sealed with Resident Evil 7 because Resident Evil 7 rejuvenated the franchise. It brought something back to the franchise, and it brought a popularity back that, when you look at Resident Evil 5 and 6, that sliced it down a lot. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but Xbox, was it? Hustle, hold on real quick. Xbox, was it the change to first person perspective that brought the game back, or the switch back to survival horror and less action that brought it back?
I think, God damn it, Slow, I was gonna say that.
I think also brought different gamers to the franchise as well. For people who do prefer first person, I prefer first person. I'm not the biggest fan of third person when it comes down to it, but when they switch it over, third person, when they show Resident Evil third person, a lot of people out there would think, oh, it's every other Resident Evil at that point. And I know the developers did not want them to think that. They wanted to go into a new direction. And a lot of times, like, the easy, that the visually easy thing to do will catch on to new gamers and such. And I think that first person view did that. And then, when it comes down to it, you look at what happened with Resident Evil 7. I'm not the biggest fan of Resident Evil 7. I call it Hills Have Eyes. But Resident I miss the sci-fi. I miss the sci-fi element that happens kind of like halfway into a Resident Evil game. That's what I grew up. You were in a haunted mansion at first, but then all of a sudden there's like a science headquarters, like
a lab.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's Resident Evil to me. All right, but I can appreciate what they were doing with the horror and all that good stuff. It just I'm not a big Hills Have Eyes type person, but I think that when it came down to it, they didn't want to mess with the formula of Resident Evil 7 that much because it rejuvenated.
Well, that's Xbox. I appreciate you bringing that up because that's one of the biggest critiques. And Brap, I'll give you the mic. Maybe you can answer to this because I have yet to start. I have Resident Evil 8 on PS5, but I do not start it yet. Basically due to work, of course, the show tonight, and then Returnal. That being said, I do want to say that even though 7 did rejuvenate it, you're 100% right there, Xbot, when you said, and I do feel that way. However, I will say that one of the biggest critiques that I'm seeing in the reviews and the things that I'm reading is that with 8, you know, much like we were just saying with Returnal with an easy factor, they've kind of toned down some of the scare factor I heard in 8, and I also heard that some of the voice acting and story have just kind of taken a step back. They kind of digressed a bit.
Mooch, one thing, the scare factor is kind of what I haven't played the game. That's what concerns me about it. I did play the demos, and I was like, yo, I'm digging this. I really want to get into it. And then, you know, the article came out with their, you know, little more action based and stuff, which I feel was kind of like the downfall of Resident Evil 5 and 6 when it came down to it. And I forgot my next point, so go ahead. Yeah,
Brad, go ahead. Or BG, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brad. Yeah. No, Brad. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think a couple things. I do agree with BG what he said earlier about, you know, the third person perspective versus first person. I think Resident Evil, in my opinion, is better played in third person. But I do think, though, what Slow-Mo and Hustle brought up about what really brought 7 and really I think what revitalized the franchise is going back to that kind of survival horror, as opposed to like action that Resident Evil got kind of caught up in. And so, you know, I've only played about an hour and some change of Resident Evil Village.
Mm-hmm.
And much like I think other people in the podcast here, I went back to Returnal. But you know, I will say this, like it's nice that they're still kind of clinging to the survival horror elements of Resident Evil, because I always felt like that's where the franchise did best, right? That element per se. Like that's how I know, or what I remember playing Resident Evil back in the days, you know. And I've read some of the reviews about the concern of voice acting. I could see that a little bit. I gotta say, I feel bad for Ethan as a character. I'm just like, dude, like you got the
again,
yeah, you've got the worst luck in planet Earth. Like seriously, like it's bad. But I also feel like he's a little, from what I played so far, I feel like he's a little aloof to things where maybe he shouldn't be, or maybe he's not.
Have they toned? I don't know if guys, the game came out at 12:01 a.m. Eastern time today, so it's hard for me to say that anybody, you know, I don't know if anybody on the panel's beaten the game, but one of the things the reviews did say was that they did, and we all read this. It didn't matter about the reviews. This came out a couple of days before. They were saying something along the lines of that they toned back some of the people thought Resident Evil. So here we are. We had a great conversation about Returnal in difficulty, right? Easy versus hard. And now we're having a conversation about RE8, and they were saying RE7 was too scary for a horror.
I didn't think RE7 was scary at all.
I don't know.
No. We're gonna stop right there. Like,
go ahead, Hip Hop.
Resident Evil 7, and you can look at my stream, son. This joint.
I don't think it was scary, Hip Hop Gamer.
Yo,
did you play it in VR?
Was so scary, son. Man, when Shorty popped out the side, and I'm like, yo, son.
Oh,
man.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely like moments where like you jump out of your chair a little bit, right? Like,
I
agree with you. Yeah, no, but I don't think it's like I wouldn't compare it to like PT or like, you know, what's a game with the
Outlast? You talking about Outlast?
Yeah, I wouldn't compare it to like
scary.
I won't even play. I won't touch Outlast. And the prep guys know, like, I don't play scary games.
You sure
like
don't.
Outlast, I won't do it. Yeah,
you
right.
Sure don't.
I don't do that either. I'm not playing Outlast. I'm not like. See, my thing is the reason why I can play Resident Evil is because I got a gun. I got something. Like, I don't like playing those games where I feel like I have nothing. I can't do nothing. I'm just here to die. Like, no, like we gotta fix this. So I can't do that.
And the problem with Resident Evil, like 7, and of course I haven't beat 8 yet, but I feel like it's going to be the same thing. This does nothing to further the Resident Evil like story. Or world. Like Resident Evil 7 and 8 seems to be about this individual character that nobody gives a damn about because he's poorly created. Ethan. Okay, 7 is literally about
Oh shit.
Okay, my girlfriend gets kidnapped by this insane family. Okay, what does this have to do with Resident Evil? Why are we learning this individual person? Like, there are a million Ethans in Resident Evil's world. Why are we learning about him? How does this further the story? Okay, now again, for some reason, this guy has, you know, I don't know. He's like the Isaac Clarke in the Resident Evil universe. Bad stuff just always happened to him. Now, okay, they kidnap his baby. Okay, now we got to get his baby back, bro. What happened to Claire and and Leon,
Chris,
and the virus that had happened in the world. That's what we play Resident Evil for. Who is this dumb dude?
The T
that has bad
virus
luck?
and bonus and stuff. Yeah, no, look, bro. I got you on that. But what I would say is like, here's why I like it so much. Because after playing Resident Evil 7, even though we didn't know nothing about this dude Ethan and stuff like that, the way Resident Evil 8 start off made me care about everything. Because for them to do, I don't want no spoilers, but for them to do what they did in the beginning scenes of Resident Evil 8, the way that panned out, something is going on that now I want to know. Like, I want to know what's going on. For them to start out like that dramatic, that powerful, there's something bigger than what we even think or imagine right now that's tied to this whole Resident Evil world and Ethan and why these things are so important. So what I love about it is the suspense of why it's so important. Now, what would be a letdown is if you get to the point, you get to the part to learn about why it's important, and then it ain't nothing special, then that would let somebody down. But I don't know that yet. I'm still playing the game. So
okay.
I have a question, because I typically don't play any Resident Evil games. Hey, Hip Hop, I know what part you're talking about because I saw that today as somebody was streaming it. So is it more about the villains now as opposed to the protagonists at this point? Do y'all think that, like, if it is, like, when did that change happen?
Yeah. So my
question.
thing is, there's three things that took place, and one deals with the baby, one deals with the wife, and the other deals with why Ethan is so important. Like that. Those three questions is why I'm so intrigued about the game overall, because the way they went about it, son, it was like Trap House. Like the way they went about it was like crazy. So yeah, man, I can't wait to see
that's
how this
interesting.
pans out.
I do kind of like see where BG's coming from, and it kind of ties into what Hustle's question was from someone that didn't play a lot of the RE games. Is there's so many protagonists we've learned over the course of 1 through 7.
Right.
Why are they all of a sudden picking on, not picking on part? Why did they pick an Ethan character and moving this route? And it's the same question I had back in the day of like Gears, right? We had some heartfelt characters that we kind of grew up with, right? Marcus, Dom, etc. Yep. And it's like, hey, we're gonna throw all those people you care about right over. I'm gonna put them over here, and now I want you to care about Kate. And you're like, what? When? Who?
Hey, wait a minute. Mooch.
And it's like, what happened to? Well, no, and I know that's your world, Hustle, but like the same way that you're asking that question, I'm asking it because I'm not as much of a Gears fan as you are. I'm a Gears fan, not as much as you, but I'm just saying, someone who's coming into Gears and has loved Gears throughout, the series, and then all of a sudden they take the beloved characters, move them off to the side, and say, here's some new ones. Well, that's kind of what RE's doing here when we've already got a ton of protagonists. Go ahead.
You also got to think again about where Resident Evil was before 7 as well. And when
right.
And if I was a fly on the wall with these meetings, I think what you would see is they are developing. Yes, they're keeping Chris in there, and you're probably going to see Claire in certain instances. But to keep it kind of like that Resident Evil that for the people who played it for a while, kind of you kind of pull at the nostalgia strings there.
Right.
But I think they went into a new direction with this, and of course, with a new direction, you're going to get new characters. And I agree that something's going on with Ethan. That's the reason why in going into Resident Evil 8, you're Ethan again. That's why his family is getting messed with. I believe in Resident Evil 7, his wife or whatever, she was kidnapped by her own family at that point in time. Like she was related to those people, and they like took her back. You know what I'm saying? So there's an underlying like story here.
Yeah,
that I'm excited. They're kind of like slowly unraveling as they're coming out with these games.
Let me say,
and I think that's dope. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to do a shout out to Andy Hart. He says, Resident Evil Village looking beautiful on my Series S. And I know I don't have the specs in front of me, but I thought the Series S took a bit of a... Well, I'm sure PC is definitely doing its thing there, Brap.
Yeah, PC is the one. Like it looked crazy on PS5. I didn't play it on Xbox, but I'm about to play it on PC tomorrow. But yeah, man, the game looks amazing, yo.
I heard the game looks very good. And the one thing I'm excited about, I don't know, Hip Hop, if you're far enough for BG, you guys sound like you got because Brap got about an hour and a half, and Slow-Mo If you got any further, let me know. But I haven't played yet.
Boarded. I didn't intend on playing it. I'm not
Okay,
a
you're
Resident Evil fan. Yeah.
That's all right.
The graphics is bananas, bro. Like, like when you just walking around the environment, looking at everything, the facial animation, especially all of that, son. The way they capture the detail when they zoom in on the monsters and everything, bro, is different, man.
Now, Hip Hop, can you speak a little bit to the village? Because that was the one thing I thought that was unique about this, is that the reviews that I've read said that that's what makes this game kind of stand out. That's its claim to fame, is the village itself. It's so detailed and there's so much that you keep going. It's not a typical RE game where you have to constantly backtrack. But when you do backtrack in this game, you do revert back to the village, and the village is a decent size from what I hear. Is that something that you thought was unique to the RE series, that you go back to this large area and it's so detailed?
Here's what I would say about that to answer your question, bro. The village almost feels like a character in itself.
Right, that's what I'm hearing.
That right there is the biggest difference between any RE game before like how you have now. Like the mansion in Resident Evil's back in the day was like a little hint of it, but this village and the way they got it set up is as if it's a character in its own right, and that just sets the tone throughout the game so far from what I played.
I got a question. For those you all who played it, did y'all bump into a lady? Oh my God, I'm gonna fuck her name.
Demetrius.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So here's my other question: is it like Nemesis, or because you really couldn't kill Nemesis till the end of?
Good question.
Well, I didn't. Like no spoilers. I didn't get to the point where I'm either fighting her. I don't know how that go. All I know is that I've seen her so far in the game, and what I can say is she alone, just her character. I will not be surprised if 2 years from now Netflix is going to announce that they have. Lady, like yo, I'm just keeping it real. The voice acting, the style, the personality, the persona, all of that, she different, son. She is different. Like, put like this, I give you an example. If y'all remember Far Cry 3,
yes,
with Voss, and how people love Voss so much. Voss is such an incredible character that I wish we got a chance to actually use. I wish he didn't die. Like. Oh, dang! I'm sorry. I know.
That's all right. They should have played it by now.
I'm so sorry.
We're okay with that.
But I'm telling you right now, this is another character in the game where it's like, you know what? They got to do something more with her in some shape or form, because she is incredible. She need to be doing a lot more.
Okay, so my next question is, and this isn't a spoiler by any means. She has 3 daughters, I do believe.
I don't know about the. I'm not sure if they're daughters or not. I know there's other girls in it. But I didn't get up to that part, so I don't know.
Okay, and I did want to say rest in peace to one of those voice or face models. She had like passed away. Yo, I thought that was Brittany. Yeah, I thought it was Brittany Brombacher over there though. What's Good Games? That's what I thought it was at first, because they had her.
Nah.
That's what
she was doing the host. She got hired to be like the host for the pre-shows. But I see where you're coming from, though, Hustle. I do definitely see that.
Yeah.
No, I do want to move on to another subject here, because this is something. I guess I'll start with XBot on here. Now, XBot, I hope you have your legal papers in front of you, buddy. Yeah.
Here we go.
So let's talk about this. So, reports from an ex-employee of 343 tells everyone to temper. Basically, this is me paraphrasing. Temper their expectations on Halo. And here's where I believe these are his quotes. If they're not his quotes, again, paraphrasing, but it's close enough. It says, "Don't expect it to be an epic-making masterpiece. For a variety of reasons, the game content compared to the original idea has been cut. Same for the multiplayer. The company executives were overly ambitious." So now, listen, I'm not sitting here, and I don't necessarily want this conversation to just be on Halo. I think it's more on the fact of what's the end game here at the end of 2021 if Halo comes out and it's just okay. I don't think it's going to be bad. But if it's just okay, when here you have people that have been buying, they bought an Xbox Series X or Series S. And I know a lot of people that are in the chat or listening later. Remember, guys, I'm not talking to us. We're all the hardcore, right? You're playing Resident Evil. You're playing Returnal. You have multiple consoles. I get it. I completely understand. But for some people that go out and just buy a Series X, they are waiting patiently now. They don't really have a first-party game until November or October of this year. And then it's the big whopper of Halo, and now we're hearing that maybe we have to temper our expectations. So, Xbox, when you hear that as a Halo fan, not just as an Xbox fan, but as a Halo fan, how do you take that information, process it, and then say, I'm waiting for this big game. I've been waiting a long time.
I temper nothing. I've
Okay.
waited long enough. Okay?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
If this comes out and it's less than stellar
Mhm.
to me, you're gonna hear about it from me. Now when
Absolutely.
it comes out, it's one ex-employee. All right. So if you start getting
That's a good
more
point.
and more, if you start getting more and more ex-employees kind of like backing him up in his corner and stuff, then it's something to definitely be concerned about. When he was talking about, they were trying to develop the game alongside the engine and such, and really, creating chaos that way, I can definitely see that. I can see that as an issue because they were aiming for the release of the
Mhm.
Series X for the release of this game. So when they were looking at it, like, yo, we got to make this engine and we got to make this game and we got to do it at the same time. But there have been games throughout history that people are like, yo, don't expect too much, and then they come out and people are floored by it. And then there are games that they said don't expect too much, and when it came out, that was absolutely true. When you look at what's going on with Xbox, they are really marketing Game Pass and all that good stuff. They are doing really well in their area. Would it be a hit? Would it take a hit if Halo doesn't come out and get like Xbox gamers excited? Yeah, definitely. It would take a hit. Do I think that's gonna happen? Not necessarily. I'm interested to know what type of cutbacks were going on with the multiplayer. Is what I really want to know, because I feel at the end of the day, of course, I am looking for a great campaign, but like you said, I am a hardcore gamer, right? I saw how good Halo 5's multiplayer was, and how many people were playing that and stuff. And if they screw up the multiplayer in Halo, that's a big red X right there. That is a huge problem.
I do want to say a quick shout out to King Thrash, who's in the chat. He says it's one ex-employee. He'll give you that, but he says, and the fact that they never showed it running on an Xbox Series X and the PC version looked mediocre. There are other warning signs here. We also had the reports that came out about the turmoil and issues at 343 that came out quite some time ago. So a lot of these things that the one X. By the way, I'm with you on that, Xbox. We have to take a small. There's always a disgruntled employee, right? We always say that, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. But is there something here now with, you keep stacking a brick and stacking a brick and stacking a brick. Pretty much you build a house of problems eventually. Is that true?
The good thing is this guy started speaking up when? In May, right?
Right.
What we have coming in June? Like, if they don't show anything for Halo, if Xbox doesn't show anything,
they're going to show
Infinite,
something.
They're going to show something. So we are right around the corner from getting actual information anyway. So the whole speculation thing, that we now have a very short time before we actually get the information. And people talking about it playing on PC, but anytime I've seen them like show anything playing, it's been basically on PC within recent history anyway. Which for some rhyme or reason, I have no idea why they do that. I have no idea. But we are right around, like, so that's why I'm not stressing. I am not holding back my expectation for this game either. So they're gonna catch it either way. If they do a good job, then they're gonna catch my praise. If they do a really bad job and mess up the story and screw up the multiplayer, and I think that's where the key to Halo is when it comes to like that wider demographic, like what we call the casual gamer, the gamer that wants to go in and play some rounds and progress, possibly have season pass type elements, skins, stuff like that for their online games. If they cut back the multiplayer so much that it even causes that demographic to kind of look at this game and be like, no, I'll pass, I'm going back to Call of Duty, that's going to be a problem. But fortunately, we are right around the corner from new information, so I'm not selling the house. I'm not,
no.
setting the barn on fire right now.
I guess I'm just asking everybody's. Listen, everybody on this panel has their ear to the ground in the gaming space, right? BG, I just want to go to you and ask your question here because I don't get a chance to talk to you about this, and I'm dying to know your thoughts. Like, how many times do you have to hear something about 343 or an issue? Are you also, and I don't blame Xbot. I don't blame him one bit for at least taking a note and saying, I'm going to wait and see what they show in June, or whenever E3 presentation is supposed to be coming out, and then I'll start to judge. Or are you a little more skeptical at this point from the news you keep hearing time and time again?
I mean, I'm as far as Halo goes, like, I've beaten all the Halos, but I'm not somebody who's like a super diehard Halo fan, right? It I would say it's not great, the things that I've always heard about, the development, and I know people blame 343. I don't know, they seem to be the problem, all the time. And that's showing. I think what was the most disturbing thing, this one guy saying, temper your expectations, I don't think is that big of a deal.
Right.
The showing that we saw, whatever that event was, that was more worrying to me than this guy coming out and saying this, because this is your most important IP, right? This
exactly,
like Halo is synonymous with Xbox, or at least it was. You can make a case that like Halo isn't even like the flagship title anymore. I feel like
Gears and Forza. Go ahead.
I feel like Gears has kind of surpassed Halo as far as like the identity and the brand of Xbox. But with Halo, like the fact that they showed it in this condition, in that condition, and they thought that was okay, even though they brought on some people to, they changed management, who was in charge and everything like that. I'm not sure how much you can do within a year. I don't think this game is gonna I don't think it's gonna be amazing. I don't think it's gonna be bad, but I don't think it's gonna be amazing because, or I don't think like critics are gonna find it amazing,
right?
Because the Halo formula has been kind of the samey thing for a while, that it kind of needs a dramatic change to really like blow people away. That's what I think. That's the only way I think people are going to be truly amazed. Is because even with Gears, like Gears,
I was just going to say that.
In my opinion, what really made me like Gears 5 was that they started to put some light RPG elements, and that's the direction I think Gears needs to go in. It needs to become an RPG shooter, not super heavy, but like a little bit more than what they had in 5. More RPG elements, and then Gears is perfect. So I think Halo just needs a dramatic change.
See, so BG, I saw you going back and forth, and Erica was supposed. Shout out to Erica. Eric Cuts for the win. She was supposed to be on tonight. I actually had you guys on to discuss that because I saw you guys going back and forth. I agree with you, BG, but I think the changes that need to occur in the RPG format for Gears, especially just for that topic alone, it needs to be, oh my God, probably 400% more than we saw in Gears 5. They need to step it up to the next level. So I do agree with you that they need to change the element, if you will. And that's what they did with God of War, right? A lot of people keep going back to these same examples, but they're key examples. God of War, if God of War came out just like 1, 2, and 3, Hip Hop said this earlier. He's like, we played the hell out of 1, 2, and 3, right? Everybody enjoyed those games to death. They are fan favorites, but everybody wanted a little bit something different. They took a risk and they went back to the drawing board and they did what they did. Corey and his team went and did what they did with God of War 2018 it came out. So that there was a huge thing. And remember, everybody was very skeptical. You can't jump. Everybody freaked out. But they went, and that's one of those things where you have to trust the developer. I don't know if somebody wanted to take the mic back. I was going to go to Brat, but if somebody wanted to discuss on this.
What I wanted to say when it came to Halo Infinite, with what happened with Halo 5 in terms of the story, and I've talked about this a lot with like Xbox gamers and Xbox Live parties and such, and I get some kind of like forced kind of like pushback or whatnot, but the thing that happened in Halo 5 story, there wasn't like that sense of desperation. There wasn't that moment where you felt like everything was falling apart and it was all on you to put it back together. And that's the formula in the Halo stories that have made the Halo stories so great. When you look at the middle of Halo 1, 2, and 3, it was getting to a point where you're like, dude, every time I feel like I got a victory, all of a sudden, you got the Covenant swarming in here and doing this and doing that. And, when it came to Halo 5, it didn't have that moment of desperation in its climax. And I feel that, with him talking about the story and such, and with us seeing how Halo Infinite is going, where Halo Infinite is the beginning of an arc that's going to be added to over the years. You're going to have this big fight, which of course Atriox is going to be there, but I think the main antagonist in Halo Infinite that you're gonna like fight at the end is that general that we saw, you know, at the end clip. Like, you know, you got all this stuff going on with Cortana, which they are definitely going to touch on. You know, there's Atriox in the background with the Banished, but I think the main antagonist is going to be that general that we saw. And with that, are you still going to get that same amount of desperation that we saw in like Halo 1, 2, and 3? Are you going to get that immersion of, man, it's all on me? Because that's really what made the campaign popular with Halo 1, 2, and 3. It was the fact that it was just everything just felt like it was all on you, and you had to buzz through everything like it was you. You were the man. You had to do it. And you know, if they come back with that in the story, I think everything is going to be fine, no matter what this developer says.
Well, I mean, go ahead, Hustle.
You know, I just wanted to say, we all saw like the shape that Halo Infinite was in when we first saw it. They have made corrections to it, like to the environment. I haven't seen the character models yet because I followed the 343 blog on Twitter. Yeah, like those screenshots that came out, they look like they definitely look better. But hey, look, man, this is their Mario, and I think BG has said this earlier, but this is their Super Mario. Though. If this joint come out bad, well, first of all, it got to be taken away from 343. I don't think you should disband 343, which I think a lot of people were talking about Bonnie Ross and that situation over there. I don't think you should disband that studio, but I think they should just be given like a separate IP if this joint don't hit. And yeah, this is the disgruntled employee. And I don't want to say disgruntled, but this is a former employee. And BG, you watch a lot of football, right? It's kind of like when different sports analysts come in, like Jamel Hill would go in, or she used to go in, her Michael Smith or whoever. And when they would go in, they would get like anonymous sources. This is why I don't particularly like even pay that too much mind. Like, shout out to Jason Schreier. We know that he's really good at what he does and he really put the work in, but I don't take that too serious.
Right.
It's like just that one story alone, but from all of the other things that we've seen, look, they're gonna have to like blow the fucking roof off the house at E3.
Well,
they're gonna have to.
But here's the thing, and the only reason I said we got to stop right there, Hustle, and think about it is let's talk about the few things you mentioned. The pictures we've seen so far. First of all, the pictures we've seen are only on PC, not on Xbox. Number two, they've literally taken the same shots that we've seen during the last June event, and they literally listen. All of us, you see. Well, a lot of them. I think we've seen We've seen one or two that weren't Xbot. The rest are still the outside area where...
Like, you're not even following it, man, so you don't even know. When it came to the screenshots, you might have seen a couple that go back to that area, but the majority of them have been new areas, new things to see, man.
When you say majority, are you talking about 3? Like, I mean, there's only been like 7 or 8 pictures.
Hang on. I'm gonna see
maybe 10 if I'm out of my mind.
But they had that big drop, and they had a lot of different areas. My man Eric Empire had put me on to it.
How many were there though?
I'm gonna try to find.
If you could find it, let me know. I mean, I think we're talking about. But the point I'm trying to make is, listen, all of us have photo mode. Like some of us make photo mode make the game look better than it is. The fact that you have the developer actually taking and polishing a snapshot doesn't necessarily sell me. The other thing is this. The game that they delayed from November.
Editing a snapshot now? A screenshot?
Oh, I'm saying no. They polished the shot. I mean, they're not making a brand new game in 7 months.
That's editing,
can we? Bro. We gotta be realistic. I'm trying to be realistic here. Xbot, you're saying they delayed the game in November, scrapped it all, and made a new game in 12 months. Okay, check. All right. No, they're not. Again, it's the same, right? Come on, let's. What are we doing here? You know, I mean, they just.
I mean, Mooch.
That's a little.
I think that. Well, listen. I'm giving it. I'm actually wasn't trying to bash it. What I was saying was they're literally taking the same. It's the same scene that we saw from last June, and now they're just. It looks glossier. It looks a little bit more shiny. It doesn't really look like it's an entirely different set.
I mean, yeah, Mooch. To your point, I get what you're saying, but I think you said that this is Microsoft's Mario, right?
No, that was Hustle.
Oh, that was Hustle.
We both sound very similar. Hustle, that's a compliment. I'm going to take that compliment because I hope I sound like Hustle.
Yeah, no. I mean, but no, Hustle's right. Like, this is their Mario. And, there's been challenges in development. And, I think sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. I think there's obviously been a lot of issues. There's been leadership changes, key development, there's been a track record of, team leads leaving, right? and now Staten's there, and there's I gotta be okay. I can't say that. Never mind. There's things that are still happening behind the scenes that are kind of raising eyebrows, and it's like there's a lot riding on this game, and it has to do well, I think, because of the pedigree of the Halo brand. I mean, imagine Nintendo putting out a Mario game that just was like, just didn't do well, or wasn't good, or wasn't like well received by the media or by gamers in general. I mean, those things matter. I mean, it's just,
I'm trying to be fair here. I'm actually trying to say that you take a Joseph Staten and bring him in, right? He's a very talented individual.
That's great.
And like what's he going to do in 11 months except polish it, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying.
Crunch. They got a crunch.
They got a crunch, BG. That's right.
They're crunching right now. They're definitely crunching right now. They're crunching big time right now. But even then, to hear that, hey, don't expect a game of the year contender, and expect a good game. I mean, maybe that's where Halo is right now as a franchise too, and maybe as gamers and what's that?
Has Halo ever won Game of the Year?
It actually has, yeah.
Which one?
Was it 2 or 3?
The 2 or 3, and I think the first Halo did as well.
I don't think they all did.
I mean, you got to remember, Halo as a franchise has been like revolutionized the console industry, like in terms of first-person shooters.
Absolutely.
And single-handedly put Xbox on the map. Like without Halo, there's no Xbox. Like so, right. And I understand, like there's a lot of competition with first-person shooters, but at the very least, though, there's something that Halo has, I think, that some of these other FPSs don't have, and that's Master Chief, right? This iconic character, which is like kind of like Hustle said, the Mario, if you will, of Microsoft.
That's right.
And so there's a lot riding on this game. Now, it could be a situation where maybe this is a brat problem where my expectations of Halo or maybe maybe I'm holding on too tight of this game being this epic experience that Halo used to be. Maybe it's just not that anymore, but it's still, the name still carries a lot of weight. And I think that if this game doesn't hit, it's just, at least from the optics, like if you look at it from the optics per se, it doesn't look good, in my opinion.
Let me get Hip Hop. Can I ask you a question? I mean, because I don't know where your stance. What's your take on?
Speak on it, but go ahead.
What's your take on this Halo thing? Because I mean, in all honesty, like I said, what I'm trying to say, and I understand where Xbot was coming from. I completely get his passion right there, because Xbot is definitely the biggest Halo fan that I personally know. But I'm just trying to say to you, when you see all that you saw last year at the presentations, and then all the updates that we have gotten, which I don't think the updates are as, I think we should have gotten more from the updates, since the game was supposed to come with the console we all have in our homes right now. Where are you, Hip Hop, on what you've seen, not just from last June till now, but your expectations from 343 and what they could really do in an 11-month time frame?
Okay, so they put themselves against the wall, bro. And they did it to themselves. So I'm a set it off with 3 things. The first thing is the hype around the Xbox Series X as a system. The hype around that system in terms of power, most powerful, this and that. It's the same problem that they set it off with Xbox One. And then out the gate, why is it your competition is showing what you're saying? Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's the first issue, the expectations of the actual Xbox system. We all know Halo is synonymous with Xbox. And then this is your first outing. You don't get a second chance at a first impression. And that first impression was horrible. Like really, really, really bad. Like texture pop in, out the world. Like everything was really, really, really bad. Now, in terms of the gameplay and the way it looked in terms of fluidity and, just playing Halo, that looked great, but that was expected, but else was bad. So here's what I can share with y'all. So I think it was towards the end of last year. I would like to say maybe like around September, right? So I had a couple of conversations with a developer that's obviously not from 343 and a developer that's close to 343.
All right.
And one of the biggest problems that they have with Halo is that they're more focused on that Fortnite market. Okay. And they really wanted to focus on multiplayer. So what I can tell you right now from a multiplayer standpoint, the modes and everything that they're supposed to be doing, that's where Halo is gonna shine. But in terms of showing off what next gen is supposed to be, you're not gonna get there with Halo. And in terms of right now, they didn't expect the backlash that they was gonna get when it came out, and that's what really messed it up. Because what happened is, sorry,
no, hip hop. I want to just add to your point. Are we talking about there's a possible something similar to a battle royale possibly coming? Is that something that they're trying to aim for?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember they had Big Team Battle, which is kind of like the precursor to battle royale. So
yeah, so definitely. But not only that, one of the biggest problems is when they was faced with that backlash, it was so bad that it forced them to delay. And the fact that it forced them to delay and they had to change a lot of things up, a lot more resources was utilized for Halo, which took away from other things. That's why when you seen that article that came out not too long ago, I forgot which website that put it out, but they were saying that we might not see games like Perfect Dark and Fable till about 2020, 30 and all this other stuff, like in terms of actually in your hands playing these games, because there's a lot of resources that's going into the world of Halo that affects other developments.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was. Now, the third thing, and I'm gonna tell you straight up like this, with what Sony, like just being honest, like with the competition, with what they got coming out around the time frame that Halo is supposed to release now, don't look for this. Don't look for Halo. If your expectations of Halo is to represent next gen at the highest level, don't have that expectation.
Wait, real quick. What's
not
coming out? So we assume that's coming out in November. We had to speculate.
Holiday, they're saying, yeah.
Yeah, holiday. So wait, what's dropping with PlayStation at that point? Because I know Kenna was the last thing that I kept up with in August.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, well, they haven't been delayed, but I know God of War Horizon was supposed to drop this year, but even with or without those, Ratchet and Clank alone, that's coming out next month. That's the best looking thing ever created. Like that, it ain't nobody touching no Ratchet and Clank. Right
I don't disagree.
Hip Hop Gamer.
But the point I'm trying to make is anybody that has the expectation of Halo's going to this, that, I think you should temper that. But in terms of multiplayer, Halo is going to be golden. From what I hear, Halo from a multiplayer standpoint, that's going to be the game changer.
Hip hop. The reason that doesn't surprise me, and I think Xbot has said this a bunch of times. We've said it on the show. The multiplayer in Halo 5 was exquisite. You know what I mean?
The multiplayer is incredible.
So they're already starting off on the right foot there. But I mean, there's a lot of people like myself, which don't get me wrong, if Halo comes out with some sort of a battle royale, that could be sick. I mean, that's something that could be amazing. I'm pretty excited for something like that, even the thought of that.
Let's just say they taking red versus blue to a whole nother level from what I hear.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
So it's basically like Big Team Battle on steroids.
Yeah, you can say that.
I'll be honest. I know you're holding on to that, Brat, but I think they're just going to do Battle Royale, and they want to make money. You know what I mean? They just want to make some money.
But that kind of makes sense. Like, like there's probably there's probably going to be some mobile tie-in to Halo.
Yes.
Right?
You were right. Yes. There is. Oh, I was literally about to say that there is going to be a mobile aspect to this whole thing. Like Halo's going to be big. It's going to be big. I just don't want. Put it like this: when you see Digital Foundry,
it's going to be on the Switch.
When you see Digital Foundry, I don't know about that. when you see Digital Foundry, do the stuff that they do, like on Halo. All I'm saying is, don't be surprised if Halo isn't comparable to some of the things you're going to see on Sony from a standpoint of power and what next gen is supposed to represent.
It absolutely can't really do that when the game was initially developed for last
Xbox
gen,
One,
and then expanded to next gen, and then you still have the game coming out on last gen. So the foundation of the game, the foundation of the game still has to run a playable version of it. Still has to run on the Xbox One S. When you think about that, like you can't really go full on next gen with everything that the Series X can actually do all the way like that. And I'm not talking about like upscaling graphics. I'm talking about like far as game design, because like the number of enemies on screen, the kind of AI you may want to do. You want to do something brand new and innovative. You can't really do all those things. I think the big issue with Halo Infinite is that they didn't stick with their vision from the very start. And so they kept changing things from based off of all the reports that we've heard from Glassdoor reviews to people, speaking off the record, all this other stuff. The game was supposed to be just a straight up sequel, the end of trilogy after Halo Guardians. It was supposed to run on Unreal Engine 4. You decide to switch from that to do your own game engine.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the issue where, hey, now we're trying to develop the game, but the tools we need to develop the game aren't ready yet.
Right.
The engine isn't ready yet. They were going to release this game at launch with an incomplete engine. Like, who?
That's crazy.
What are you doing? That's crazy. And so it's just like all of these really bad decisions on the executive level cause where they are right now. Now, I'm not saying that when the game comes out, it's not going to play great, because what I saw from it, when I saw the demo, I thought gameplay wise, that's the best 343 has done as making a game feel like Halo.
That grunt at you, the suicide grunt, man. I'm down for something like that.
The gameplay looked like Halo to me. I was excited for the gameplay. The problem though is that why this game is supposed to be coming out months from now, and your draw distance is about as long as my finger, coming from looking at the grass. There's no lighting effects on any of these characters. The main villain at the end looks like something from Brute Force. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, wow. You say Brute Force?
Why you do that?
Come on, Brute Force.
You don't even have to do it like that.
He had like 6 textures on his face. Like, come on, like this isn't. And I hate to say it like that, but that's how bad it looked. And it's just like, how can I can look at cutscenes? I know these are cutscenes, but still,
right?
The cutscenes of Halo Wars 2, when they did the little teaser that AceJunky is coming, I was like, yes, I'm so excited.
That's right.
Is from Halo Wars 2
yes.
is going to be in it. I've seen what AceJunky looks like, right?
Yes.
So I'm imagining in my mind like Master Chief fighting AceJunky. I got my fanboy goggles on for Halo. I'm all excited, and then I see this demo and I see hairless Craig, and I'm like, that ain't my Brute.
That ain't my Brute.
Yeah,
those
not
are
my
my
Brute.
I see this dude. I don't even know his name, but like I said, like with the teeth, the fouled up teeth, and I'm just like, dude, this looks like my 10-year-old drew this, and I'm like, this is not from the What Eats Monsters from Breakfast console what you would expect, and I'm like, I understand that when it comes out, it's going to look better visually. It's got to. After a year, and you got chances to finish the engine, and I've looked at all of their blog posts. They talk, and I've seen the interviews from the developers talk about all of the different features they're adding graphically. But that first impression, it's hard to get the taste out your mouth, So it's like they actually put themselves behind the 8 ball by making it like now they've raised the bar.
See, Slow-mo, the one thing that
you had to delay the game in order to make it even look like what we
kind of expect. The issue I have is one thing that Hip Hop said got me excited about, the multiplayer and hoping that there's something like a battle royale. That to me is sick. As you could tell, dude, I play way too much battle royale. I love it. I do. I know a lot of people say
you don't play enough, Mooch.
I know. I guess I don't, but I love it, man. I need to play more. But my point being is that like that's exciting. And whenever you have this discussion in the community, people are like, well, Microsoft's cleaning up. They're going to clean up. And if Halo has a battle royale, they're going to clean up. But that's not necessarily the itch you're trying to scratch, right? It's the other part of what Hip Hop said that's a little disheartening is like, I want these games to be that next generation experience. And I don't mean just multiplayer. I mean single player as well. And that kind of brings me to my next subject. And by the way, I'm not changing subject. So, Brap, if you had something to say on this or Hip Hop, you can add to it. I just want to say, do they need a star? Like Starfield now is in question, and even BG kind of interviewed the great Jason Schreier last week on Weapon Wheel. And I just want to say that, like, there's conflicting reports on whether or not Starfield is a definite for 2021. If Halo comes out and is an unbelievable multiplayer, that'll give it some legs. But if it doesn't satisfy that single player itch, does Xbox need a game as highly touted as a Starfield in 2021, or if that gets delayed, is that just a really kind of a lackluster holiday?
I think maybe. I think it depends on what they line up from a third party perspective in Game Pass. Like if they start getting some games at release day and date, like we saw with MLB The Show, and Outriders, then it's
they'll have to go third party then,
yeah. Then they could just kind of write it out. I mean, I think that's like Slow-Mo made a very unpopular tweet a couple of weeks ago about
not Slow-Mo.
Game Pass being the Game Pass basically being the platform now per se, not necessarily the console. And I think that goes back to what
a lot of fanboys didn't like that.
No, I
think that goes back to kind of what we're saying. Like if what Hip Hop Gamer's saying, like if Halo doesn't impress from a technical standpoint, and I think for a lot of us like that remember Halo was always the showcase, right? If you remember the 360, the OG Xbox, Halo was the pinnacle of the of what the Xbox quote unquote hardware could do. But if it doesn't do that, and it's got great multiplayer, and it drives engagement numbers, and it's on Game Pass, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all Microsoft cares about, and it's quote unquote free. So I think it just depends what they have lined up for third party. If and I don't think Starfield's going to happen this fall. I think it's more likely like early 2022, and I think it just comes down to what they're going to have from a third party perspective and cutting deals with publishers to get stuff in Game Pass.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. If they can't get Starfield out this fall, they're going to throw their bag at somebody to try to get someone's game, someone's big game, holiday game in Game Pass day and date. I can see that happening.
So we know they're doing that because remember when we did the Brap rant a couple weeks ago and Aaron was in the live chat, he kind of alluded to that. Like we're still engaging partners.
I think we need to, and don't get me wrong, I think Aaron, we can guesstimate that Aaron is 100% right there, but I think that the key word that I want to pull back on is when Slow-Mo says big, I mean, like everybody, we got to remember something, like what Twitter says and what we say in the hardcore camp is not necessarily what transpires out into the casual market, and that's where a lot of the funds come in. And, like Outriders, right? So Outriders came, Outriders went. And it's like when I think of a game that's going to go into Game Pass, I think it's great that Outriders was in there. Awesome, actually. And if they can get a game that's like an Outriders this fall, throw it in their day and date, better for all of us. Outstanding. Do it, please, Xbox. Please do it. But I don't think they're going to go get a big AAA huge game because those games already have deals and things and marketing and things set with possibly Sony or etc. I don't think they're gonna like.
Maybe not. Maybe we don't know. That's
well,
the thing.
These games are those things are. I don't know. I could be wrong. I think you're gonna get something. Here's my prediction would be that you will get another third party day and date game, but it'll be on the caliber of an Outriders. And if some people say, well, that's fine, I'd say that's fine as well. I just it's not gonna be like Call of Duty. I mean, some people are saying maybe Battlefield 6 may go in there, right?
No, but it's not gonna be on the level of Call of Duty.
Do you think Battlefield 6 will go in there?
I could see that. I could see.
I could actually see that, and people go, "Well, Mooch, didn't you just say that wouldn't that kind of caliber game?" Let's not forget everybody's got short-term memory. I found that out as well too. Okay, Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1
with the short-term memory,
right?
Because people
hip-hop ain't that the truth? And I'm telling you right now, let's not forget that Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1 were awful. I mean, they were awful. So of course they're probably going to get 6 on a discount. So I mean. That's just my take personally.
I like 1. I didn't think 5 was good.
If you look at it from EA standpoint, they've put a lot of time. As you guys have said, Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 did not hit the way they wanted it to. They spent extra time making sure that Frostbite 3.0 was good to go. They wanted to look beautiful and actually for once on the Frostbite game play well off of launch. And I don't think they spent all this time, didn't bring Battlefield back, didn't do the typical annual release, only for them to say, all right, we're going to take a chance and put this in Game Pass. Even though Microsoft may throw the bag at them, like hit them in the forehead with like 30 mil. I don't think that's something they want to do. I think they want to let this game have a traditional release because it's like their flagship premier game this year. If it was like, take Outriders, for example. Outriders is a game that Square Enix believed in, but it's not like their game this year. Like that's like number 3 or 4 on their list of games they're dropping this year that of importance for them. So if they kind of felt like we don't know how this game is going to do, and it did well, it's a brand new IP, it did amazingly well coming out, that they said, all right, we could put this in Game Pass and maybe that'll help it. But I think when you got Battlefield, and Battlefield at one point, the IP was synonymous with Call of Duty. Like I think EA feels differently about that. I know how Xbox division thinks about Game Pass. They don't look at it as if this is a service that you put your games into because you're unsure or you're indie and you need that extra oomph. You need that spotlight for your game. I think other publishers look at Game Pass differently. They look at it as like, I would prefer to sell this traditionally and make that $60-$70 per pop and some microtransactions. But if I have to, I'll put it in here. And I don't feel like Battlefield is in a position, or at least EA feels is in a position that they have to do that. Now, if the game came out and it bombed, expected in Game Pass real soon.
Well, that's fine. I'm not saying Battlefield 6 won't end up there. We're talking about day one. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I just want to chime in. Well, I think someone makes some great points, but what I will say is, we know that EA likes microtransactions, right? And we know that Battlefield could benefit from a high level of engagement. So I think that if it makes sense, Microsoft will throw the bag at EA because Satya is like, we're going to throw the bag at people to get subscription numbers up for Game Pass. So I think if they make it advantageous enough for them to say, EA to say, okay, we'll put this game day and date in Game Pass, they're going to do it because they're going to get, like, let's say, like, I'm just throwing an arbitrary number out there, $10 million up front, right? And then you get a situation now where it's like, okay, so, EA, you put Battlefield, 6 in here, you remove that entry level of $60-$70 for, buying the game. And now you basically have free reign on microtransactions, right? That's going to be the other thing. Like, if you're not paying $70 for a game now, are you more likely to spend money in microtransactions? We know there's microtransactions in previous Battlefield games. Like I used to, I was victim of that. I should say victim, but I participated in microtransactions in previous Battlefield games where I used to actually rent a server out, and I forget how much it was for like Battlefield 4 or 5, where you could actually pay EA.
It was 3.
To host your own private server. I did that. Like I did it.
No, a buddy of mine did too. Yeah. I remember that.
And so I think it's probably advantageous for them to do that, to take the money from Microsoft if they do. And I think that it would probably benefit them because now you have a situation where you're enticing gamers to try a game, without any financial risk per se. And if they get hooked, now it's like, you know what? I didn't spend $60, $70 on this game. Now I can, now I'm probably more likely to, do microtransactions or, buy upgrades or rent a server out or whatever the case is.
No,
Enrique,
I get that.
Enrique, it's good. Yeah. They have EA Play in Game Pass already. So it's going to go into Game
Pass.
That is true. Yeah,
eventually, like what, 3 months later, 6 months later, whatever the actual term period that those games automatically go in. Anyway.
What rhymes with slow-mo?
FOMO.
FOMO.
I just went with that. But it's funny. It's funny. But wait. Let me say this real quick.
Do executives suffer from FOMO? I don't think.
Yes. They want money. They want money.
It's funny because I just copied and pasted this real quick. Shout out to Chris Righteous on Twitter. He said, it's crazy how the Switch is selling like crazy with no backwards compatibility, no 120 FPS support, weak hardware, lack of features, no services that put their games day one, full price games, even for old ones, and yet people still think Sony not doing what Xbox does is going to hurt them. That's the thing. It's like you've got Sony and Nintendo not following Xbox, and I don't think they're worried about it at all. Go ahead, Hip Hop.
But I don't think Nintendo was following Sony either.
No, they're not. I think Nintendo and Sony are in the same camp here because they're not following suit. They're industry leaders right now in sales every month and doing very well, and they're not looking back. But Hip Hop, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so the first thing is, no matter what people say, quality is quality. And when you have
That's true.
quality, you're gonna have people that's gonna buy.
Thank you.
Like, period. And as long as your quality is high, it's consistent, and you offering something different. Like, for example, the PlayStation 5 controller alone, like that experience alone is like, yo, I need to experience it like this now.
I agree.
Like with certain games. And that's just the controller. So the point I'm trying to make is things is different. And when you know your audience, then you got to figure out what can you do to take from somebody else's audience. So now let's look at this, right? If you look at Outriders, like I was talking about earlier, that's a brand new IP.
That's right.
So because it's a brand new IP, it'll benefit a lot from the Xbox Game Pass because it's a brand new IP. Then you got MLB The Show. It's not a brand new IP, but it's a brand new IP that's on the Xbox.
Absolutely.
So that right there makes sense. And here's the issue, right? A lot of people is saying, well, the value of this is value of that. Is it a guarantee that MLB The Show is going to be there forever? Or is it going to leave Game Pass at some point? Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to think about that. Because the thing is, when you spend money on the service of Xbox Game Pass, I have it. So I'm speaking from a person with the experience. Like, I've always had Game Pass. I love all this stuff. And I just support the game industry, period. So I spend money. So the thing is, I love Game Pass. I got it. But there was a time where Tekken was in there, and then Tekken left.
That's right.
So now it's like, dang, like, so if I want to get Tekken, I got to buy it anyway after I done spent months of a subscription service
for that game.
Certain things, for that game.
Yeah.
So the thing is, people don't think about it from the standpoint. They think people have a short-term way of thinking. They not think about the long term of what you're really spending,
Hip-hop,
what's really going on.
The other thing that I always bring up, but here's the thing. Hold on, Xbox.
For one game, then like
that. But that's the thing, though. You've got to listen to what Hip Hop said, and he hit a chord that's spot on. We get on these shows and we talk all the time. Listen, now I went right down the pen. I'm assuming, right? I already assumed that Brap, BG, Hip Hop, Hustle, Slow Mo, Xbot, yourself. I'm like, oh, I'm assuming that you guys all play Returnal. I'm assuming all you guys all played RE8. I'm assuming all you guys are going to get Biomutant at the end of the month, right? The fact of the matter though is when you're talking about people in general that game, like casual market especially, which is where the mass amount of money is, they're playing one or two, maybe three at most games a year. So what Hip Hop said with Tekken is a good example. Someone might have said, wow, Tekken's in Game Pass? I'm subscribing. Goes ahead and subscribes, finds out, I'm making this up, 3 months later, 4 months later, it's gone, it's yanked out. Now they got to go buy the game, even if it's used, it doesn't matter, $40. So now they just spent $30-$40 for the $10 a month, and then they just spent $40. They paid more than the actual retail price to own the game. So what I'm saying to you is, and people go, well, Mooch, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm not saying that people that are listening right now, that's what you're doing. That's not what we're doing. We're all the hardcore. The hardcore bought in because it makes dollars and cents. It makes sense. I get that. Because if you play one or two games, you already got your money's worth in Game Pass. I get it. It's easy math. It's not hard to do. But when you're somebody that doesn't play all the games that are in there, and you only like one or two particular, maybe three particular games a year, Game Pass is not necessarily for you. I've been saying that for a very long time, and I always get the hardcore that says, Mooch, you're wrong. I'm wrong in the hardcore sense. I don't know yet if I'm wrong in the casual sense. That number, you know what I mean? That's where my point I'm taking from on Game Pass.
And this is why I said what I said. Like, I know a lot of times people, make comparisons with PlayStation Now and Xbox Game Pass. Well, here's the thing. Xbox Game Pass is marketed way better than PlayStation Now.
Absolutely.
PlayStation Now is way more profitable than Xbox. Like, you know what I'm saying? And these are the things that people got to pay attention to. Like, for example, even with the PlayStation Plus, the PS4 games that's in there, any game that goes into that is permanent. Like, that's a permanent stay. Like in that PlayStation Plus collection thing, that's a permanent stay. So, these are just things to think about. Now, the second thing I want to say in terms of the Nintendo and why they can just do what they do and Sony can do what they do. One of the issues that Microsoft is still having now, and don't get me wrong, I love it all. I got everything. I just want to make something clear. One of the issues that Microsoft have right now is the same thing that they had before. And I use this as an example. So when Microsoft didn't have a game to go up against Uncharted, they went and got exclusive rights to Tomb Raider for a year.
Yes.
Instead of investing in the right development talent, the right development team, so they can literally have their own game to compete. That's a problem for me. And the reason why is because what it tells me is that you think you could win with money all the time. You think you could buy your way to victory all the time. and Xbox has never won a generation ever. So the point I'm trying, and I know a lot of people, well, 360, nah, in America, yes, but globally, no. PlayStation still came back and won that. So the point I'm trying to
Nintendo actually won that one, but go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish though.
Well, you can look at it that way if you want, but because I respect it because the Wii is this, but it's you can't directly compete and compare those. It's like looking at a boxing match and you got a heavyweight versus a featherweight, and you looking at that as a 1-to-1 competition. They're not gonna ever fight each other. There's a reason for that. It's separated. So,
well,
but
the consumer put them all in the same competition.
Yeah, I understand why people will put them all in the same competition because they're a console. But if the PlayStation was $250 out the gate, just like how a Wii was, it'll be a completely different conversation. I'm just keeping it a buck. So,
price plays a role, absolutely.
That's the reason why it's priced that way is because it doesn't offer what the other one offer. Like it's just that's just common sense. It's like you're trying to compare steak to a McDonald's cheeseburger. Yeah. It's like, come on, man. Like that's not a fair comparison. You know what I'm saying? That's not a fair comparison. So, but anyway, going back to my point, until Xbox, like how they had to buy, Bethesda and ZeniMax to try to get these games and blah blah blah. It's only going to work, but for so long. Nintendo and Sony is continuously going to make a killing all the time because of their investments.
They bought ZeniMax outright. Those studios are now first-party studios. They didn't buy them just as a cushion. They bought them to sustain Game Pass.
I get you.
I understand. Party once the first party starts rolling, there's like no stopping at that point.
But see, that's the thing. Even though they brought them, they still operate as their own publisher, and that's been confirmed. So I give you a straight up example right now. And if I want to be wrong, I'm wrong. But as of right now, what I can tell you is people that I know that's working on Starfield, they did not stop the PS5 version of the development. They still working on that. So my point is that even though Microsoft has ZeniMax,
that's a spicy take.
Yeah, even though Microsoft still has ZeniMax, Microsoft is going to wind up making even more money. It's the same thing with Minecraft. They own Mohawk Studio.
So Hip Hop, are you saying that Starfield has a chance of coming to the PS5? A lot of people are saying that it's an Xbox exclusive.
No, I'm confirming that it's coming to the PS5. And if I'm wrong, then I wind up being wrong. But right now, I'm confirming it based off what I know so far.
Okay.
It's interesting because we've heard other people be just as definitive in the opposite direction. I mean, but regardless of that, the longer we go, as the years go on, what's going to happen is that more and more of those ZeniMax media games are only going to be where Game Pass is. That's what Phil Spencer said. Those games, in regards to that question during the roundtable, where they got prior obligations, which is stuff like Ghostwire Tokyo, Deathloop, those games that have already been announced to be timed exclusive, console exclusives to PlayStation. Those are the prior obligations. But in the future, whenever possible, those games are only going to be wherever Game Pass is. Now, that still doesn't exclude PlayStation or Switch because we've seen
I see your take
some
here,
of those
Slow-Mo.
emails confirmed it.
Yeah,
what Phil Spencer said, they want Game Pass
where Game
on
Pass
other
is.
consoles.
That's right.
Yeah, and so they don't care about the console, period, or any console. They just care about getting Game Pass on as many platforms that can play video games as possible.
And what I'm trying to say is, remember, Xbox was almost gone. Like I think if I'm not mistaken, like 4 or 5 years ago, they was about to get rid of Xbox, like the whole brand and everything. And they had to fight to keep it. And then they put Phil Spencer in position to lead it. And now we here. But Xbox was about to be a division that was cut off. Because because at the end of the day, if Xbox Game Pass can be the way that they are successful, then who needs a system when my service is gonna give me more money? It's just like, come on, man. So that's where I'm at with it.
No, that's good. And I apologize, guys. I've kept the entire panel here after the 2 hour mark. I told everybody by 9 p.m. Eastern time we'd be out of here. This has just been an amazing conversation. I've loved every second of it. And I sent everybody about 11 topics. I think we got to 4 of them. That's because everyone. Go ahead, Xbot.
You said 4. I was like more. I was gonna say 2, but then I was like maybe 3.
Well, you know what? It's funny because it technically would be 2 on like major ones, but we had an A and a B under each of them, so I'm gonna round it to 4. I kind of rounded up to 4. But I want to do this. I want to say thank you to everybody that's here. Outstanding show, amazing panel tonight. Just from the top to the bottom, just insane. I want to try and get this entire crew back together again because this was dynamic. This was just a lot of different opinions, and I loved it because I learned a lot tonight. I learned a lot from a lot of the guys that are here tonight, and there's different perspectives. And I learned a lot from the chat, actually. The chat was very interactive tonight, so I want to say shout out to the chat.
Shout out to the chat.
Yo, it was great to see you guys. And, you know, and I neglected a couple super chats, Xbot. So let me just get a couple of these guys in here. I completely apologize. So X-Man, he said, why can't they bring back Veronica? Now, he was talking about when we were discussing the protagonists in the Resident Evil series. So shout out to the great Sir X-Man. And the Melodic Punk. I think I'm saying it right for the first time in 2 month. He says, shout out to the Melodic Punk. He says, Biome 3 and Returnal is brutal. Send help, please. I'm right there with you, Melodic. The great Sir X-Man's back. He says, I love Halo, but Battlefield 6 will eat its lunch. I don't know about that, Sir X-Man. I wish I read that earlier. I don't know about that. And Magnum Visual says, hey, Mooch, what's up, buddy? What's up, Magnum? I appreciate the super chat. Guys, outstanding tonight. Let me go in reverse order and thank everybody that's here. Let me go first to Hip Hop Gamer. Hip Hop Gamer, I got to be honest with you. I'm actually upset that I didn't get you on this show sooner. And I can't wait till you come back on Crossfire because there's just so much more I want to talk to you about. We didn't even skim the surface, man. We did not even skim the surface. So if you don't mind, let everybody know where they can find you. And I look forward to your return to Crossfire.
Yo, I can't wait to come back on the show, son. Crossfire is lit. Let's get it popping. Now, here's what I want to say. Yo, first thing is this. Google me. Hip Hop Gamer. Just Google me and everything, you know, will come up and stuff like that. And secondly, like, this is what we love to do. You know what I'm saying? We love talking about games. We love playing games. We got differences of opinions and everything. That's great. But I see a lot of stuff that be going on in the industry. And I just want to say this. At the end of the day, like in my life, I play games because my grandmoms had taught me how to play games when I was 4. And I've been playing games all my life. And this is my career. And I love it. And I'm passionate about it at such a extreme high level. You know what I'm saying? Because of me and my grandma, you know, growing up. So I just wanted to tell y'all, everybody that's listening and everybody that's on the panel as well, like, whatever you love and enjoy so much about gaming and stuff like that, continue to spread that as well. Because I just see a lot of people and a lot of negativity. And I've seen like so many things fall by the wayside over ignorance. And like over lack of conversation on things. So thank you for having me, but continue this platform because I really feel like it could be even bigger having these kind of conversations. And the more people see us come together in a positive way, talking about what we love, hopefully that can impact people that watch and listen. Thank y'all very much, man.
Hip Hop, thank you for bringing that up too, because, you know, a lot of the times, that's the one thing that we say on the show all the time. Love bringing difference of opinion on the show. Always great to have a debate, but realistically, we are here. We all enjoy the same hobby, and that's the beauty of this conversation. So thank you for bringing that up, Hip Hop. And I want to say shout out and thank you to Broken Games. BG, yo, thanks for being here tonight, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show, man. First of all, I know you got a lot going on with your channel and you got a lot going on with your life and work and everything like that. So time is definitely of the essence. But man, it is great to have you and your opinions on here. Outstanding work on your channel. Love your takes on Twitter and look forward to your return on Crossfire. BG, let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mooch. You know, you can just invite me anytime, you know, as long as I'm not busy, I'll come through.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Broken Games HDR. All right, and Weapon Wheel podcast is on Sundays.
Appreciate that, BG. Thank you. And then I got my buddy here, Hustle, which, by the way, Hustle, I got to tell you, man, usually I like to give you the compliment on the outro, but I think I got the compliment today. I think Brap said I sounded like you. I'm going to go ahead and take that compliment all week long. So, Hustle, let me say this much, man. Great to have you on the show, buddy. Always a contributor on the show and on YouTube and Twitter and in the community. Hustle, let people know where they can find you, and thanks for being here tonight.
Hustle and Motivators everywhere. Hey, real quick, shout out to all of the guests. Hip Hop Things is our first time speaking. You're a good guy, man. BG, hey, I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, or I wouldn't be as known if it wasn't for you giving me the very first shot on Weapon Wheel when I had like 16 subs. So, hey, I can thank you publicly for that. Slow Mo, you already know what it is. Xbot and everybody else on the panel. Hey, real quick, I'm gonna show you guys around July after I'm finished with our Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, why Gears is the definitive IP for Xbox as opposed to Halo. So I'm gonna start with Gears 1, Gears 2, Gears 3, Gears 4, and Gears 5. And I'm gonna pretty much show everybody what's going on over there. That's all. That's all I'm saying. It's gonna be like a big thing. It's gonna be a big undergoing. I'm gonna shoot commercials for it, this, that, and the third. But I'm gonna announce that here since y'all talk the Halo talking, that's cool. But look, slow down. Just slow down. Everybody slow down. But no, hey, Mooch, thank you for having me. Thank y'all for having me.
Always hustle, always. And then I've got my buddy here, Slow Mo backside. Slow Mo, you also have an insane schedule, man. And you just got done with an amazing show of DPS last night. And then I asked you to come on the show. You're like, yo, let me just take care of some family stuff, and I'll be right there. So Slow Mo, honestly, thank you for being here. Outstanding work last night on the show. Let people know where they can find you, brother.
Oh yeah, man, Mooch. Anytime, appreciate it. Definitely. You guys can find me on my YouTube channel, Slow Mo Backslap, DPS Podcast. Next week it will be on my channel, Thursdays, 9 p.m. Easterns. And yeah, man, you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your games.
Appreciate that, Slow Mo. And then I got my buddy here, Xbot448. And Xbot, I told you it wouldn't be that bad. I mean, I don't think it was that bad. It could have been a lot worse. But Xbot, you held your own as you always do. Man, it's very well spoken.
But like I wasn't going to cut people off. I've been accused of cutting people off on this channel.
I will not accuse you of that. It's Crossfire. It's part of the deal here.
Yeah, no doubt, brother. Great panel, man. It was a lot of fun. I believe this might have been the first time talking with hip hop. Of course, BG. We've definitely talked before. I've been on your show before or whatnot. But guys, go ahead to Xbot448. That is the YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe. It is the home of the next podcast, which is the creator, the beginning, the century point for white on white crime and gaming podcast. That is right. It is the next podcast. You need to check it out, people. Not only that, it is the home of the Series X podcast, which is me and Jamie Moran, aka the Elusive Gamer, talking all things Xbox. That is right. No console war drama. Just we're there to celebrate Xbox. We're there to criticize Xbox and talk about all the Xbox news that goes on throughout the weeks and whatnot. So you definitely want to subscribe to that. And as usual, I will be here on Fridays hanging out with my brother Mooch and the panel as the Xbox defense lawyer. And it's really not that hard. It's just common sense, people. I just put common sense out there. That is it.
Love it, Xbot. Great to have you here. And let me just do a couple of quick plugs for the folks that had to be, they couldn't make it tonight or had to leave early. Shout out to Brat, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. He does this show Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Go check him out on Brat Podcast. The Crap Gamer could not make it tonight as well, but that's _Crap Gamer or I believe it's Crap Gamer Reviews on YouTube. Go check it out. He's got 2 shows a day coming out. Go check out his work. And then I've got Gaming Forte. It's Gaming _Forte, I believe, at Gaming _Forte on Twitter. Gaming Forte on YouTube. You guys, outstanding show tonight. Thanks to everybody that was here, the guys that couldn't make it, the amazing chat that was here. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you to all the Mooch Maniacs. Guys, right above that description is the join button. If you will think to join us, it would be amazing. I'd appreciate it. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe on the way out. Guys, we'll see you next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy these new games. And we'll catch you next week. Peace out.